Hello and welcome back to Serie A Spotlight. This is episode 123. We're your hosts Jake
and Matt,
and we'll be covering all the details of Matchday 33 in Serie A. So the first thing we're going to do is address our goal of the week, which went to El Azzurri of Bologna. What a goal that was, bro.
And what a stage as well. As you know, Bologna and Roma, despite there being the coefficient, it's still a battle for fourth spot. Bologna currently edging it. Massive 3 points for them in that game, and the manner in which El Azzurri scored that goal reminds me of Leao's bicycle kick earlier on this year, where it seems like they're not going to pull it off, like they're going to ground. But when I say this guy, El Azzurri, literally almost did one of those sideways backflips to score that goal, it was absolutely fantastic.
Judging from where the ball was, that was the only way he could have scored.
Literally.
The only way, in that mannerism. If you haven't seen the goal, guys, go check it out. Bologna against Roma, of course, El Azzurri.
Yeah,
what a goal.
Beautiful piece of improvisation by him, stepping in for Ferguson. So
of course.
Big shoes, and he's filling them. Filling them.
Poor Ferguson's done his ACL, of course, as we covered in the previous episode. A few honourable mentions over here. We have Vlahovic with the free kick.
Yes.
Do you think the goalkeeper could have done better there?
No, I think the wall could have done much better. Makumbu. Firstly, the wall was set up 3 people. I think that's where maybe the keeper could have done better in instructing more people to cover the wall, because it is Dusan Vlahovic. Maybe he underestimated him a little bit there, thought the angle didn't favour him. Put 3 people in and 2.5 because Makumbu literally ducked. Initially, I thought he swerved it around the wall, but it literally went through Makumbu.
In contrast to that, in the Bologna game, you see Stefan Posch blocking El Shaarawy's rocket with his
like
face.
An animal, bro. Like an animal.
Yeah. Daniel Maldini had an honourable mention as well. What a goal that was, and he almost made it 2 at the end. Would have been crazy.
The drama, Atalanta holding a lead, they can't do it. And it was marginal. The last kick of the game, it hit the right post, the inside of the keeper's left post, and it went out from the keeper's right-hand side. So it was rolling across that face of goal for the last kick of the game.
Hot dog.
Amazing stuff.
And then we have, of course, Salamakers with the dink to make it 3 for Bologna. What a goal that was.
There are periods of time where Salamakers is just saucing. Salamakers for like 5 games a season becomes much more attractive, becomes a much better footballer, and just has this big dick energy. But that seems like, could it be his constant state, playing on the left for Bologna?
Playing
Perhaps.
Inverted, right?
Yes.
Maybe that's it. No, he's always had this weird technical ability. His problem was always tactical intelligence with Milan, and not knowing when to hold the ball, not knowing when to pass, not knowing when to look up and look for a teammate, not knowing when to dribble.
With Milan, I felt like he was further away from goal. He covered a lot for Calabria, and there was often the debate of if Milan want to attack, it's Castillejo, and if Milan want to defend, then it's Salamakers. And when Milan tried the 3-4-3, 3-5-2, he was the right wing back.
Yeah, goes to show he might have been misunderstood over there.
Perhaps.
So, for those of you watching, you will notice that we're in black today, of course, and this, of course, is because Inter have confirmed the Scudetto mathematically. Congratulations to Inter on your 20th Scudetto, and therefore your 2nd star, as you can see in the album. The episode artwork. The way in which it happened was disappointing for us as Milan fans, of course, but we have to tip our hat to Inter, who have been absolutely fantastic this season and have been head and shoulders above the rest, just like every anti-dandruff shampoo ever.
No, they clearly deserve to win the league. They lost 1 game this season, early days against Sassuolo, which is a freak occurrence. They are the best team in Italy for the past 5, 6, 7, however many years. They would kill Napoli of last season. I think they're so dominant, they're so strong, and no, it had to be Inter this season. We'll discuss the manner in which they won it, and the bragging rights that came with them winning it in the manner in which they did. Later on in the episode, it is the first game we'll be covering, so you won't have to wait long for that.
Absolutely, yes. We can move on to some European action. Of course, we had Atalanta eliminate Liverpool.
That's always nice.
Amazing.
Come on, Serie.
They now face Marseille. This, by the way, means that the 5th spot for Champions League in Italy has been confirmed.
Coefficient, baby.
Oh, yes.
So, almost no matter what, fingers crossed, Bologna, Champions League football.
Yes.
Bologna.
This man right here. Well, maybe not actually, because he's seriously linked to Juve. But yeah, we'll see Bologna.
Or Milan.
Please. Yeah, Roma eliminated Milan and now face Leverkusen after Milan put on a pretty shambolic performance against Roma.
Purely experimented in these two games and it didn't go well in either of these games. So
not looking good for him. And Fiorentina left it late to eliminate Victoria Pilsen and now face Club Brugge in the Conference League.
I have to address an error I made on the last episode, by the way, which is not like me because I'm full of ego. But I said that if Atalanta win the Europa League, it means 6 teams will get European football six teams will get Champions League next year. It is the case, but if Roma win it, then 6th place get Champions League also.
Okay.
So if Roma win it or Atalanta win it, 6th place still gets Champions League in Serie A.
But
because if Roma come 5th,
finishes top 5 though, right?
Because if Roma come 5th and they get it because of the coefficient, but they also won the Europa League, then that spot goes to the person below them.
Oh.
So 6 teams in the Champions League, perhaps, and imagine Fiorentina win the Conference League. That means I get Europa League next season. So what can we be looking at here, bro? 3 Europa League teams, 6 Champions League teams, 1 Conference League.
10?
That is 10. 10 teams. The top 10 of Serie A might be in Europe next year. Still a lot to be played.
I'll just take the 5th spot and I'm happy with that. But 10 would be ridiculous. It would be insane. Yeah. I'm happy to see, by the way, the coefficient favors our opinion as well, because Italy is a very tight and competitive league. And we watch the league very closely, and we do know of the quality, as do you listeners. You're listening for a reason, right? Serie A is a fantastic league, and it's nice to see that finally people who don't watch it are being forced to watch it, because it's the real deal at the moment.
Exactly. I just hope we will see more success. Obviously, 2 Italian teams in the semi-finals of the Europa League. I want to see more Champions League action next year. It was a very good year for Serie A last year in the Champions League. Let's see more, and let's see some silverware next year, some European silverware. It would be nice.
Absolutely. Some Coppa Italia action last night. Juventus beat lost to Lazio, 2-1. Of course, winning 3-2 on aggregate. Lazio were leading 2-0, so it looked like it was going to go to extra time. But Allegri brought on Cambiaso and Milik, and he brought on Weah instead of Cambiaso. And Weah ended up trying to shoot and accidentally assisting Milik.
Getting all the credit as well.
Everyone going crazy, even though his first 4 touches were terrible. Atalanta Fiorentina are playing tonight. The first leg was a 1-0 victory to Fiorentina, but this time Atalanta are at home, and the game it feels like it's going to be a different game, right?
Yeah, I think so. Fiorentina don't look too confident. Atalanta have every reason to be confident. Look, Gasperini wants silverware. He's not going to put all of his eggs in one basket. He's going to go out for this one, and he's going to go in hard.
And he said before that the Coppa Italia is the most realistic trophy for Atalanta. So
there you go.
Yeah, that would make sense for them to go for. The Milan Primavera made it to the Champions League final to face Olympiacos, where they lost 3-0. Towards the end of this episode, one of our patrons, Alan, he sent a voice note in our WhatsApp group chat, basically running down the game for those of us who missed it, because we were watching, of course, Bologna Roma at the time. It's very interesting. We're going to plug it in at the end, so do tune in and listen to Alan. He gives quite a few interesting takes on the Primavera.
Yeah, you'll recognize Alan because he did step in on this podcast when I was celebrating my birthday, I believe. So shout out to Alan. A friend of the podcast.
Friend of the pod. Friend of ours. And that's pretty much it. The last thing I want to mention is a Facebook comment, actually. Yes, that particularly irked me because I've been waiting for this. So we're Maltese, Matt and I, okay? And in Malta we have our own language, right? Maltese. You'll hear a few melas and a few tas in this episode, and if you're a regular listener, you'd know this. This guy on Facebook commented a disgusted emoji, and he wrote down "Tkellmu bil-Malti naħseb aħjar," which means if you spoke in Maltese it would be better.
Yeah, and this is a massive thing in Malta. If anyone releases any form of content to an international audience and they do it in English, the comments are flooded with tkellmu bil-Malti.
Speak Maltese.
At my work, we interviewed a 6-year-old child, right? And he spoke in English, and the comments were telling him to speak in Maltese. Like it's a really annoying fucking thing, and we're victim of it finally.
Yeah. People think that you're trying to look important or superior when you speak in English, which isn't the case. We have an international audience, of course.
Our main audience is in America.
In the US, in the UK,
East
Eastern
Side,
Europe.
by the way.
Yeah.
East Side.
Shout
Come
out
on,
to the
Brooklyn.
West
Come
as
on,
well.
New York.
Yeah. So of course, if we spoke in Maltese, this wouldn't quite transcend, would it? And most of our patrons are actually foreign as well. So
And all the Australians as well that listen to us, bro.
So, nitkellem bżob fox il-libom, maċu baldakino, muħu fox il-birkir karatijak, għal-Madonna. Alright, that's all I'm gonna say. There's some Maltese for you.
Enjoy.
Okay, shout out to our patrons, Alan, Andrew, Andy, Anthony, Tim, Campbell, Sluge McNood, Lena, David, Kyle, Luca, Matthias, Mint, Michael, Tonna, and Ed. You are the kings. You guys keep the show going. You guys are the reason we have video. You guys are the reason we won't stop.
You're the reason we will continue to speak in English. If you're new here, don't forget to like our content on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. It would help us out a lot when it comes to keeping this content going and monetization, perhaps on YouTube as well one day. Rate our podcast wherever you're listening, be it Spotify, Google. I mean, you guys know the gist. We say this enough.
Show us some love on YouTube, guys. That's still lacking compared to the rest.
Yeah, that would be nice. But onto the rundown, the way in which we're going to be covering this episode. We'll start off with Milan 1, Inter 2, the Derby della Madonnina, where Inter, in inverted commas, away from home in front of an audience full of rossoneri, took home the second star and celebrated in front of everyone. It was absolute scenes. We will then cover Roma 1, Bologna 3 in essentially a 6-pointer for that 4th spot. Bologna maintained that 4th spot and did it in fantastic style. Bologna have got the sauce, man. There's such a saucy team, like Zirkzee, Salemakers, amazing. And Dan and Doy as well, amazing. Cagliari 2, Juve 2. Cagliari were ahead twice in this game and much the better fucking team in this game.
Especially at the start.
Yeah, 2 lucky goals there for Juve. One where the wall of the free kick was non-existent in Vlahovic's free kick, and then a crazy Dossena own goal after having a really, really good game once again. Dossena was very unlucky. But Cagliari, they'll take a point. But shockingly, they'll be disappointed, man. They will be disappointed.
To blow a 2-0 lead there.
Yeah. Monza 1, Atalanta 2. It was a great display once again. Atalanta, in 45 minutes, they can kill anyone in 45 minutes. It's that second 45 minutes that at least domestically they seem to be struggling with, and they almost blew it. Daniel Maldini, by the way, he's grown into such a great player for Monza, and I think we'll see him start more for Monza next year. But he almost equalized, but Monza only got away with
We'll see if he even
2-1.
stays at Monza, because he's owned by Milan still. So we'll see.
But they have the option to make it permanent. They
I'm
have the
not
option.
sure.
I believe so, bro. I'm
It
quite
could be.
quite certain we will
Because I know
confirm.
he was on loan elsewhere. He was on loan at Empoli earlier this season.
But I firmly believe that if not an option, they might even have an obligation. But we'll confirm that. Genoa 0, Lazio 1, a victory for Tudor. Saw something interesting over there, which was Goodmanson not starting up front alongside Retegui in that free role, but Retegui starting alongside Caleb Ekuban over there, and Goodmanson forming part of the midfield three, but also playing quite free and giving the 2 strikers a bit of backup. Empoli 1, Napoli 0. End the season for Napoli. Someone pulled the plug on the season because it is getting catastrophic, as it is for Juve. But a massive win for Empoli, and now there's a little bit of distance over there with those bottom 4. Finally, we could get a clear indication of who's going to get relegated. It's still not fucking over by any way, shape, mean or form.
But this game saw Cherry finally scoring a goal that counts. We saw him score a few weeks ago, if not months ago, where he grabbed the ball and put the ball underneath his t-shirt and started sucking his thumb. I guess that would be to honor his pregnant girlfriend at the time.
Yeah.
That goal was disallowed. So this goal was his first goal in Serie this season. To which his celebration, he just sucked his thumb. He didn't put the ball underneath, so I'd assume enough time has passed for his wife or girlfriend to actually give birth since his previous goal.
I genuinely reckon that's what it was. Or because these socio guys, the second the ball hits the back of the net, they're just running in to take the ball. So he couldn't do it.
That's still something that I don't get, just taking the ball every time it films them putting the ball.
I get it.
But I don't need to see it every time.
If I was an Inter fan and I was loaded, I would want that ball where Acerbi scored against Milan, bro.
Sure,
it's as simple as that.
I film it every time going into the bag,
They pay an advertising package, bro. Fuck it, like.
Bros and sales.
Salernitana 0, Fiorentina 2. Weekly bye-bye to Salernitana. Bye-bye. Fiorentina fielded a very weakened 11 over there to focus on tonight's game and also recovering from the Conference League fixture. Relegation 6-point alert. Sassuolo 0, Lecce 3. Sassuolo, how about this? Go down to B and then go down to C. All right, because this is getting too much. You kill all of our favorite teams.
Yeah.
Everyone, supports the top 5-6 teams, at least in Malta. They destroy all of those. They gave Inter their only loss this season. They almost shocked Milan earlier this season, and then they lose 3-0 at home to Lecce.
That's no team.
No.
Sassuolo. They're a bunch. Sorry to cut you off, Madonna. They're a bunch of mercenaries.
Yes,
that's what
bro.
they are. That's why they show up on the big stage because people are watching. That's not a bloody team.
No.
Man. They deserve to get you.
And look at Lecce. Their fans absolutely destroyed the Mape with their attendance. It's like that game that we went to watch where we're surrounded by Inter fans. Yeah. We're actually really lovely. Like, if any of you saw us there, so hi. Yeah. You're really nice. Relegation 6-pointer alert. Verona 1, Udinese 0. In the last minute, Coppola header, amazing scenes over there. This game had draw written all over it. I had a bet on a draw as well. My bets did not go well at all, bro.
I've had to stop, huh?
We'll see.
He's one of their own.
He's one of their own, Coppola. Born, bred, raised, everything. And
that's a beautiful tackle before as well.
Yes, man. He had a really good game. I have that game, and he had a great block at a point as well, man. Yeah. Ending it off with, I believe, Torino's 8th or 9th, I'm not too sure, 0-0 draw this season. 0-0 against Frosinone. Ivan Juric, bro, these Turin teams, it's the same style. But Absolutely. That is the order in which we'll be covering these games. Let's start off with Milan 1, Inter 2. Let's get this over and done with. No?
Let's.
The previous encounter.
Here we go.
Was Inter 5, Milan 1. That was like match day 4, match day 3, something like
early
that.
On.
Very early on. Inter won their 20th Scudetto in the sweetest way possible with a 6th consecutive Derby della Madonnina victory, beating Milan. In these 6 consecutive Derby della Madonnina victories, they conceded 2 goals and scored 14. So, Pioli attempted to change things up and try to stop the party. And however, much like the game against Roma, his experiment was an absolute failure. What he decided to do was still play a 4-2-3-1, at least
on paper.
Mike Maignan in goal, backline of Calabria, Gabbia, Tomori and Theo, double pivot of Adli and Reinders. That's who you play against Inter. Musa on the right, Pulisic on the left, and Loftus-Cheek playing behind Leao.
What he tried to do here is mirror Inter man for man. And it's come to a point now where he's tried so hard with his own system. And it just failed so many times that his only option here to save some face was to play man for man and hope that they don't beat you, right? And hope that you put up an individual battle.
That's what Milan did in the Super Coppa last season where they lost the Super Coppa, Milan lost 3-0. There was this, the second game of the Serie A season last year when Milan were going through a dreadful spell and they changed to a 3-4-3, remember? they had done essentially the same thing and only lost 1-0. And I remember being happy that Milan only lost 1-0 in the Derby della Madonnina.
Here we can see literally Musa taking on, for example, the Dumfries role, trying to stretch. Leao playing as kind of that Lautaro role. In theory, drifting a little bit wide. I'm sorry, I couldn't even say that without gagging. And then you had Theo occupying an average position at the center, which is funny because Musa pushed up more than Theo. And tell me what world that makes sense.
I think Musa is a right-sided player. I think Musa is a right wing back. He is probably, him and Tomori maybe, the only positives I can see out of this game. Everyone else for Milan was an absolute fucking
I wouldn't even
disaster.
call Musa... I mean, Musa showed good things, yes, but I highly doubt that. I wouldn't call that a positive performance. Even his crosses were all so overhit.
If you're going to point out one person, then it might very much be him. Inter, on the other hand, absolutely unfazed. Same old 3-5-2 formation, Sommer in goal, Pavard, Acerbi and Bastoni at the back. Pavard, what the fuck? What a player, man. Darmian on the right, DeMarco on the left, midfield three of Barella, Çalhanoğlu and Mkhitaryan, and the front two of Lautaro Martinez and Thuram. Unfazed, unchanged. It's a system that works, and only one team has stopped them this season.
The mighty Sassuolo.
The mighty fucking Sassuolo. Inter, it only took them 18 minutes to open the scoring. It was DeMarco's corner to the first post that was flicked on by Pavard onto a totally unmarked Acerbi, who headed in. Ex-Milan player, obviously, celebrated like mad. Classic. This is, I think, Campbell pointed it out on the group chat. The way that we would describe this goal is corners, Inter good, Milan bad. And that's exactly what happened over there.
Absolutely.
For the rest of the first half, Lautaro missed a sitter. Thuram's low-driven shot straight just wide. Mkhitaryan's snapshot was stopped by Maignan. It was all Inter in the first half. Leao had half a chance at a point, but Sommer got down well. It's the only time we saw Leao.
It was a pretty good opportunity, to be honest. It should have worked him better.
Look at it. There's a video of Thierry Henry analysing the way in which Mbappe finishes his shots, where he goes totally ahead of the ball. So Mbappe and Henry in this case would be closer to goal than the ball would be. And they position themselves in such a way to feint a shot to the right and they slot it into the left. But it also helps if they want to slot the ball to the right, their body is positioned in such a way that they can do so.
Yeah.
Something Leao can really look at and kind of work off, because in a situation like that, when he's clean through on goal, he occasionally looks off balance and it doesn't look like he can get a confident shot away, and he ended up using his weaker foot.
And shooting it down the middle.
It was a good opportunity.
It was wasted, but to be fair, Inter were wasting their chances as well, because they should have been three. They should have scored three.
Literally.
Thuram's chance was really good and Lautaro's was really badly mishit.
Yes. Calabria had a good chance. He was denied a close range effort after a pullback. So there was that chance for Milan as well. And then, you go into halftime. Stefano Pioli's about to fucking just rip you anymore. Come on, guys. They can't win the second star in our stadium in front of all our fans. Yeah, come on, boys. I don't want to lose my job. Do this for me, boy. Yeah. 49th minute, Inter make it 2. Thuram displayed great hold-up play as he set himself up before delivering a bullet into Magnan's bottom near corner from the edge of the area. He is now 2-4-2 in the derby. Slight fortune because Tomori did well to cover his area, but the ball bounced back to Thuram. I feel like he was given a bit too much space by Calabria, and subsequently you can't even criticize Mike because we often say Mike and his near post, right? But that was a perfect strike by Thuram.
It was unlucky that Tomori had him the entire time. The problem was that his deflection took the ball slightly past him, and all of a sudden Thuram had that split second of space with Tomori tracking back.
Absolutely.
Calabria was late to close down the shot and didn't commit to the block, and of course Maignan, I don't think, had a great view of the shot as well, being blocked by Calabria, and of course it was at his near post, was kind of awkward. But he was late to it, and that was a goal. What did you think of Thuram's celebration? That was what I thought it was, right? He was saying that we've got balls, right?
Yes.
With both his hands like that.
He was cupping his nuts, right?
He didn't think about all his teammates there.
He did have beef with him.
Absolutely. How inconsiderate.
I mean, some substitutions were made by Milan. Some players came on, like Chukwueze and Okafor, that had that did well. Benasser came on as well. They really shifted that. Milan had pace. Then they looked like they started playing football, and subsequently in the 80th minute, Tomori headed into the back of the net as the ball fell kindly to him after Gabbia's header was saved onto the post. But Milan were bombarding at that point, right? After that, Milan continued to bombard, but I feel like they showed a bit of a lack of character over there, because there's 10 minutes to go. You know there's probably going to be a decent amount of additional time, at least 4 to 5 minutes. And what we saw instead was Theo got a red card. He barged into Frattesi, and then Dumfries, who had only been on the pitch for 6 minutes, squared up with him, knowing damn well this might be the last time I'm playing against Theo. And he squared up with him. The commentator's like, now these two have got history. Like. And they were both red carded. And then in the 96th minute, Calabria got a red card for elbowing Frattesi in the face. It was the 96th minute. There were 5 minutes additional time, right? Inter are a man down. Milan are a man down. Milan have a corner. It could be... By the way, Milan scored 10 corners this season. I had no idea. Like,
crazy.
Decent.
Piolian.
So you have Magnan in the box. You've got everyone in the box. Why the fuck, Calabria? Why the fuck are you gonna get a red card over there? So that in the last action of the game, you're a man down. Imagine the ball fell to Calabria and he scored. Al Madonni. But no, he elbowed Frattesi, the captain Calabria, elbowed Frattesi in the face, showing a total lack of maturity and eagerness to win the game at all. Obviously, I'm not blaming him entirely, right? But got sent off. Milan failed the corner. Milan lost the game. Question 1.
All right, let's go.
What did Frattesi do, man?
What the hell did he say?
Because Theo barged.
Apparently, Calabria has a hot sister. Maybe he mentioned it.
Calabria has a hot sister.
Apparently so.
I see it.
You see it? I don't know. I think that was stupid by the Milan players. I thought that they showed a significant lack of character and maturity and discipline, because that's exactly what Inter wanted at that time. With 10 minutes to go, you're meant to stay calm and you're meant to push for the winner. You're meant to have your best players on the pitch, your leaders leading by example. And what happened? One of Milan's best players, Theo Hernandez, ends up grabbing Denzel Dumfries by the throat and getting sent off. Granted, at least Dumfries got sent off as well. Whatever, but I'd rather have Theo and they have Dumfries, and neither team has no one.
Especially considering Dumfries' form.
And then Calabria, man, to where, like, Milan have a corner at the end of the game. As you mentioned, you do your best.
It's an opportunity.
It's an opportunity to score.
What do you trying to get back
you're trying to deny them the Scudetto in front of you, man. You know what a big deal that is. I know you've said that.
Would Cafu have done that?
Yeah. I know you've said that, like, it doesn't really make a difference if they win it in front of at the San Siro in front of Milan.
But it does, bro. It does, man.
It makes
it's history.
All the difference in the bloody world. All the difference it makes, because it had never happened before. And the one time that it could have happened,
it doesn't make a difference. To me, Matt Fenech.
To me, Jake Fenech, it makes a massive difference. Because it's embarrassing. Yeah, it's embarrassing. And that shows your team bending over and taking it. And that's what they did in Milan. You see, Pioli coming out with this new system, bloody hell, he cost us 2 matches. Like, his job depended on the outcome of 2 matches. And he rolled up to these matches with the strangest lineup I've seen. With Musa out of nowhere.
Overcomplicating it. So, against Roma, fucking Calabria was like the number 6. What is that?
Yeah,
like, I'm sorry, but Calabria is not a midfielder. Like, I know he's tried it last season as well. What the hell are you doing putting Calabria in a midfield?
When everyone's fit.
When everyone's fucking fit. And Milan, they don't have a crusher. They have ball-playing midfielders. Why are you putting Calabria in the position of a ball-playing midfielder? I don't fucking understand it. And then you get your best player in Leao, who can play. No disrespect to Leao, man, but he can play one position, Leao. He's good on the left, so he can run and run and run and beat his man and assist or go for a goal. He can do all that, being played in through the back, sure, cut in, score, whatever. On the left. But you're gonna put him striker? Punta.
He's literally said he feels uncomfortable there.
Punta,
Yeah.
you're gonna put him. What, he thinks he's Motta with Zirkzee like Pioli? No, he totally fucked these 2 games. Totally fucked. He got nothing out of either of them. He lost twice to Roma. Milan lost twice to Roma. It's not all down to Pioli. I firmly believe that there were a lot of players that let Pioli down.
Absolutely.
And none of them would have uttered a negative word.
And
Yes, boss, put
and that's
me in
my
striker.
point. That's one of the main points I want to drive home. Is I give Pioli 40% of the blame.
I agree.
40%.
I agree.
Because the
50.
play,
50.
sure, fair enough. But the Roma game, that build-up play, no urgency whatsoever.
Zero.
Lackadaisical. It's almost like I can't wait for dinner. You know, that kind of mentality where you're like, let's get this over with. We're running down the clock, building up slowly from the back. It was honestly frustrating to watch, infuriating. And then you have this against Inter, where I'm sorry, it's gonna be I'm gonna be one of those who mentions it, man. You can't be playing in a derby, playing for your life, playing for your dignity, trying not to lose face, trying not to give your biggest rivals historically the league title in front of your bloody face, and you're playing up front as a number 9, and you're fucking walking
Stop, man.
like this.
Stop.
They're passing the ball around you and you're walking like
Who
this.
are you? Who are you, man? Like,
They're not even the top scorer. Lautaro does that.
literally.
No one does that.
He's a dog.
No one does
He's
that.
he doesn't
Yeah.
fucking stop.
He doesn't stop
Lautaro.
working.
He's annoying, like, in that sense.
So tell me, okay, false sense of security is one thing if he's walking to kind of make his opponents think that he's, to surprise his opponents with a burst of pace, basically, when he switches gear. That's one thing. But here, Milan needed to get the ball. Milan needed to score a goal. They're passing it around him, and he's walking. It's like Piggy in the middle, and the Piggy's on drugs.
You remember Osimhen for Napoli last season?
Yes.
Essentially, his movement off the ball was so strong, obviously, because he's got his stride, he's got his pace, something Leao has to his favour as well.
His incredible
That's what I
levels.
was hoping to see more of. The fact that if someone knocks the ball upfield, that Leao is horizontally covering grass and covering ground and just being able to get to the ball. But he was absolutely invisible. And Milan are playing Leao up front. Why? How come every attack was a cross? Every attack, but most of the challenges Milan created were from the wings crossing the ball in. Who is gonna head it in, man? Who
Leao's 6'2". If he committed a bit,
he
could,
doesn't.
It's
He
not
doesn't
his
commit.
strength.
He doesn't.
I mean,
commit.
and there's Ruben as well. I mean, there are many things wrong with this team as well in general. The fact that in your 10 okay, so you don't have a Kessie replacement from 2 years ago. Then from last year, you don't have a Brahim replacement, right? So you're playing Ruben Loftus-Cheek as the 10, who, all right, enters the box late, he enters the box well, he scores, but where's the vision?
Yep, Jake.
He can't.
Ruben
I've never seen him play a
Loftus-Cheek.
through ball or play someone through.
Ruben Loftus-Cheek wears the number 8 because Ruben Loftus-Cheek is a number 8.
Yes.
He's a number 8. He's not a number 10. It's good that purely he can make runs into the box without being the number 10. Why do you, and Milan have a lack of physicality in the two defensive midfield players, and your only physical player, you're playing him closer to goal. Let him drop back a bit more. Let Pulisic have more freedom to cut inside a little bit more, and sure, let Loftus carry the ball forward a little bit more. That is just, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Let's because I feel like
we're just
this is a
nagging
moment.
because
This
we're
is
ranting.
and this is massive occasion
for Inter, right? So congratulations. They play
What
so
does
well.
a victory of this nature mean for Inter? Because they know what it means to us.
Yes. It'll mean the world to them. Eh? Finally, they got revenge for that season where Milan just stole the league from under their nose, and they managed to get that second star before Milan in front of their own fans, and with a splendid performance as well, despite giving up a bit at the end. Milan didn't have the composure to actually remain in it, and Inter managed to rattle them and to get two of their players sent off in a very crucial time. They're tactically able, they're talented, they're street smart, they're bloody good, man. They're bloody good, and they operate the way Marotta operates the market is just phenomenally. These guys, they don't get weaker, man. Their stars leave and they just bring in adequate replacements. And if you look here, it's almost tougher to swallow for us Milan fans because half these guys were linked to us. Pavard was linked to Milan before Maldini left, and then Maldini was sacked rather than left, and his name vanished and he went to Inter. Thuram was close to joining Milan, he went to Inter. Acerbi scored. He's a Milan youth product.
Frattesi, bro.
Frattesi was close to coming to Milan as well. Çalhanoğlu's there, Darmian's there, nothing against Darmian, but he's also a Milan youth product. Yeah, so there were quite a few storylines over here to make this a tough pill for Milan fans to swallow. But yeah, all respect to Inter who deserve the Scudetto this year.
The second star as well, massive achievement. I know Juve are going crazy about it because they haven't
got theirs in 1988 or something.
Literally, like in the 1980s, they got it, bro, and they got their third one in 2012.
Yeah.
And they very much, if they have a decade of good football, they can get their fourth, man. But no, it doesn't matter if Juve have 3 and Inter have 2. I mean, Inter are the current champions.
That's it.
You can't compare the two teams. There was a moment this season where they were close. They came up against each other. Juve looked like kids again. Bro, you remember when we used to go play at the swings and there used to be that 18-year-old that was, this guy's gonna make it pro. Because we were like 6 and 8 or 7 and 9, and this guy's... That's what Inter Juve looked like this year, and Juve fell off completely after that. Second star and all that. Milan's management situation. So it has been essentially confirmed by every single journalist in Italy, including sporting Romano. Journalist, including Fabrizio Romano, that Milan are looking for alternatives and Pioli will be sacked at the end of the season. There were even reports that, now the report happened 3 days ago, right, saying that Milan will find a new manager within the next 72 hours with a surprise name available as well. That happened 3 days ago, so that's been 72 hours, so watch us finish this episode and all of a sudden Van Bommel is the new Milan manager.
He's one of the names.
Let's talk options. So before, all we were hearing was Motta, De Zerbi, and Conte. And we're like, they'd all be nice, this will all be good for this. It's like you have to choose between a Ferrari, a Porsche, and a Lamborghini, right? Now, the options are Lopetegui, Fonseca and Van Bommel. Lopetegui
has won an Europa League with Sevilla.
He's won an Europa League with Sevilla. He had a crazy bad stint for Real. He was sacked after 3 months.
But that was cursed at the point from the get-go.
Yeah, because he had confirmed that he was moving to Real Madrid before the World Cup, man, with Spain. So Spain are like, leave, and I believe that got him Fernando Hierro on board to replace him, and he only spent 3-4 months at Real, replaced by Ancelotti. Rest is history. Fonseca,
who plays nice football but doesn't really have anything under his belt.
The way he plays is essentially very similar to the way Pioli plays. Now, is that what Milan are looking for?
Look, Milan are looking for an upgrade, that's it. And I don't see any upgrades over here. Lopetegui, maybe you could say, is an upgrade, but he doesn't know the league. And I would really prioritize someone who knows the league, just to remove any form of risk of slipping out of the top 4 spots, man, in Italy. Because imagine that. You bring in a new manager with someone who doesn't know the league. He doesn't know what it means to go play against Cagliari in Sardinia on a fucking windy rain.
They have their equivalents. Every league has their equivalents. So that doesn't bother me. I would rather... Media, I just want someone who is going to have 11 players disciplined with a winning mentality and that has some good European night fucking experience, because Milan are a Champions League team. Last one, Van Bommel. I did some research on Van Bommel, his current team in Antwerp.
Maybe. I know he was at PSV for a while.
I think Antwerp in the Belgian league he's with right now. He had some success with them early on. I believe in his first season they won the league. And that was their first one. Yes, last season, and it was when Alderweireld scored that goal from distance for his boyhood club. Van Bommel was the manager.
Okay.
Now he's like 4th. But I still can't get over, like, he was sacked from PSV. He argue De Rossi, you could argue all this and that, like Zinedine Zidane.
These are the one-offs.
Motta and all these guys. Could that be Van Bommel? Maybe, but Let's upgrade.
Motta's different because he showed good things at Spezia and he saved them.
True.
You know, but your point absolutely stands. These guys who people always, oh, what about Zidane? What about De Rossi? These guys are the one-offs. They're the exception.
Yeah.
Now I think what Milan need to prioritize, because at this point, when I started hearing these names being mentioned, I panicked. I picked up my phone and I sent a voice note to our spot heads, right? Who are always there for me. It's almost like a therapy session. I'm like, guys, I'm freaking out. I don't want Van Bommel. I don't want Lopetegui. Like, at this point, Conte sounds like a dream. I'd take Conte, like, and they're all like, hold up. Conte might bring success, but he's definitely not a project manager, right? Which is something that Milan desperately need to continue. They need someone who believes in the project, who believes in the long-term strategy of the club, to buy young, develop, increase in value, flip for a profit, bring in new guys, and eventually, all of a sudden, you've got superstars that you would have never afforded in various positions in the team, as they do right now with Theo, Leao, and Magnan. Milan can't afford to buy them at their current level right now, but you invest for the future and you get these players.
Exactly.
Conte won't be on board with that. Good luck getting a 21-year-old midfielder from the Dutch league and telling Conte this one's for 4 years time, bro. Like,
I firmly believe that's why he hasn't been confirmed.
Yeah.
Because Zlatan was having talks with him and Milan were having talks with him. I strongly believe that the board, apparently the board's favorite name is Lopetegui, and he's probably the fans' least favorite. But that was purely out has been trending since before he joined. And 2 seasons after his appointment, a season and a half after, he won the league. So I don't want to get carried away with negativity around the managers. There are some good names, man, coming from the Dutch league, the Portuguese league. There are some good names. I think Milan as a team, all they need is a progressive coach that's going to play good attacking football.
Absolutely.
Well, I wouldn't mind a slightly more defensive one, giving the attackers a bit more liberty.
You know, if Sarri wasn't,
I've heard this,
so gross, he could be Milan's manager.
But then,
you know what I mean, gross. Like, he's not really Milan. Like Milan wouldn't get someone like. You remember when Gianpaolo was appointed as manager? How the media destroyed him.
Yeah.
He was practically there in the press conferences picking his nose. This guy Gianpaolo. 7 games in, they sacked him. They're like, what the hell is this?
I wouldn't want Sarri. I get you. He fits.
Perfect.
He fits the system. He fits the system, right? But his past few appointments, not right. They were with a struggling Juve, a struggling Lazio, maybe a struggling Chelsea.
I'd be curious to see what he can do. Huh?
I would be curious.
But we'll leave it to the board. We'll leave it to the Moneyball squad.
Yeah, Moneyball squad. On the other hand, Inter's manager has won his 9th trophy in 8 seasons for Lazio and Inter. 5 of them were Super Cups. 3 Coppa Italias and 1 Serie A. Some quotes from the Inter fans and the Milan fans. Inter were brilliantly chanting, "You don't even have a Coppa Italia to shove up your ass."
After
Amazing.
The famous shove your Coppa Italia up your ass that Ambrosini had put back in the day when Milan won the Champions League in 2007. And then Milan did the same thing in that Scudetto winning season 2 years ago. And now they're like, you know, that's good, and bastards.
They were chanting Theo Hernandez Figlio di Puttana because he obviously started the Çalhanoğlu Figlio di Puttana chant. And last but not least is the Milan Ultras had a banner up. The second that it looked certain that Inter were going to win, they put up a banner that just said, "Fantastic, the gay pride can start now." Well, essentially what Milan did is they lost terribly to Inter and went, "Oh, well, you're gay."
Wow. That's ridiculous. That's so bad.
Inter have obviously won the league. They're on 86 points, absolutely unstoppable. What a team. Milan in second on 69 points, absolutely nothing to play for the rest of the season. And also one thing I forgot to mention: Milan play Juve next. Calabria, red card.
Yes.
Theo, red card. Yes. Tomori, accumulation of yellows.
Brilliant.
Hashtag
can't wait for that one.
Who the fuck is gonna play centre back?
Bring Simic up.
Ooh.
Bring him in.
Shout.
Something's good.
Next.
Roma 1, Bologna 3.
Yeah, I feel like these two games are going to take up the majority of this part.
This was a fun one.
This was amazing, bro. This was amazing.
Yeah, Bologna basically consolidated fourth spot and doomed De Rossi to his second Serie A defeat at Roma. This was essentially a head-to-head for fourth place with 4 points separating the teams. Roma are yet to complete the game against Udinese, which is currently 1-1. And the game will be played tomorrow, Matt.
Yeah, Thursday.
Thursday.
So tomorrow, yeah.
And they're going to play 15 minutes, right? Which is a hilarious solution. It's like they asked children to figure it out. But to be honest, it's difficult to think of a solution in a situation so bizarre.
Yeah.
Roma lined up in a 4-3-3 with Svilar in goal, Celik on the right, Angelino on the left with Mancini and Llorente at the back, Cristante, Paredes and Pellegrini in the middle with Dybala on the right, El Shaarawy on the left, and Tammy Abraham starting up front, his first start since coming back from injury. Lucas Skorupski was in goal for Bologna in their 4-1-4-1 formation / Matthew, please.
2-7-2.
Yes. Posh was on the right, Calafiori was on the left with Lukumi and Bokema as a centre-back partnership, Freuler in the pivot with Ndoye on the right, Salamakers on the left, Abisher and El Azuzi playing behind Zirkzee. So the first half started with El Shaarawy skying a very good opportunity, and then Bologna eventually did take the lead with a spectacular bicycle kick from Usama El Azuzi after Calafiori's inch-perfect cross. Inch-perfect my ass, actually. He made it very difficult for him, but thankfully for him, he's got a black belt in karate. And he managed to get his foot where most people can't even get their heads. What a goal, and that's our goal of the week. Paredes shortly after that slotted a good opportunity wide, and then Salamakers almost scored with a ferocious free kick that smacked the crossbar. Bologna did double their lead with a goal from Joshua Zirkzee, assisted by El Azuzi after completing 35 passes in a row. 35. It was champagne football all round.
Literally, the confidence in not all the confidence in themselves, but the confidence in their teammates to play some of those passes. They're just like, it's fine, he's press resistant, he can do it.
And they all kind of have a moment to play with it as well. They give it to Zirkzee, he does a little, and they give it to Salamakers, does a, they're all kind of flexing and doing their own thing. Yeah, in the second half, Stefan El Shaarawy had a rocket that looked like it was going in, only to strike Stefan Posch in the face. Roma did get one back with a goal from Azmoun after Pellegrini's corner. Following 3 attempts, he managed to get it past Skorupski. Bologna scored their third goal on a counter-attack with Salamakers lobbing the ball over the goalkeeper after a pass from Zirkzee. Roma had chances through Baldanzi and Cristante but couldn't find the net again. Bro, what do you think?
I think Bologna had a game plan and they, played out to it perfectly. I think Roma's approach was to come out strong, to come out rash. If you look at the amount of yellow cards, in the first half, that 4 yellow cards in the first half. In the 6th minute, Paredes and Zirkzee got a yellow card for an argument. Angelino got a yellow card in the 13th minute. Pellegrini in the 33rd. El Shaarawy in the 40th. They were coming out there aggressive, nervous, and they were frustrated. The way that, because Roma like to have the ball, right? And Bologna simply didn't allow them to have it because Roma couldn't take the ball off them. The way they were moving the ball around, the way they dictated the entire pace of this game. This game was fully in Roma's control, and I think if we've ever seen De Rossi's Roma exposed, it was in this game. Obviously, tight schedule, whatever. Bologna did. They couldn't have done better, honestly.
Absolutely, man. And again, yes, you're right. They made Roma do all the running, right? They had possession. They played it round. The first half, they took the most out of their chances. And then in the second half, they were happy to concede possession. When Roma scored, they were attentive on the counter and they managed to get one back. Of course, their players are on fine form. They're all pretty nimble and pretty nifty and agile enough to actually hit on the counter. So if you look at Salamakers or Ndoye or Zirkzee, they can all hit on the break, and they were just so impressive, man, this game. Particularly El Azuzi, man, who scored, of course, the fantastic goal and then got an assist. But, bro, it needs to be highlighted. What kind of celebration was that, man?
Power Rangers,
Everyone
What
was like
else?
trying to like hug him and like, you know, celebrate with him, and he kept smacking them to them. Oh no, wait for this. Then he looks at the camera, does this, like puts his fist in his face, pulls it down, and then turns it into a gun. Weird.
It's pretty
Weird.
lame.
Really lame.
And it's, I was waiting, like, what's this guy gonna do? Because he was like pushing everyone. I was like, guys, watch this. And I always really judge the kind of celebration players do after they score a worldie, especially acrobatic goals, because you know it's got a worldwide reach, right? Garnacho, biggest mistake of his life, bro.
Doing the
Did the C after scoring one of the best fucking bicycle kicks I've ever seen in my life. A kid in Manchester scoring a goal like that for a struggling United. And he did the C.
He could have created his own brand.
Could have created Rooney against City. The way he stood tall, went on his tiptoes, put his arms back. Sorry, Motta. Put his head back, like soaking it in. Brilliant celebration.
Yeah.
You know, Ronaldo, after scoring a hat-trick against Atletico, sitting, crossing his arms, looking at the scoreboard. These are iconic celebrations after brilliant moments. Totti with the selfie, Robbie Fowler snorting the line.
yes. And then you have El Azuzi with the Power Rangers.
Exactly.
With the yellow one. What the hell? Like,
what was that? It was the yellow one, man. What's Power Rangers?
the yellow one, my favorite one, man. Yes, so let's look at a few statements by De Rossi after the game. He said, perhaps we were less sharp than usual, but Bologna play good football, move around a lot, and make you seem less sharp too. This was De Rossi talking to Dazn, of course. Other times we scored more goals with fewer attempts, but Bologna deserved congratulations, they deserved the victory. It was a balanced match. We were more dangerous in the first half, but couldn't make it count, and what would have given us a boost. There was a little too much tension, we cannot lie. We let ourselves get irritable over a yellow card, because that can't decide the match. Their goal also took us off track, but the lads fought till the end. We are grown-ups, we are experienced, and we ought to know how to handle negative moments. So far, we've done well in head-to-head clashes. Tension can happen, but it must not influence our attitude on the pitch. If we want to be perfect and continue this climb up the table, we must do better at handling moments as an experienced team. We would not concede a goal like that at the 44th minute. Again, we had time to turn it around, but conceding the third wiped us out. So yes, he's saying essentially that it was the frustration of his players that really killed them off, basically. And that's crazy for him to come out and say, because these guys have just played an Europa League doubleheader against Milan, and they managed to keep their cool so effortlessly in that one, which just goes to show that Bologna are actually tougher to face than Milan at the moment.
Yeah, and I was also surprised to see just how quickly Roma, I wouldn't say crumbled, because they could have gotten back in the game. You know, they got one back in the 55th minute, and you know, they had their opportunities after that as well. They had their opportunities in the first half. But they seemed so frustrated that even certain decisions they were making, it's like they weren't making them with a cool head, but it was rather either to rush it or a move out of passion or frustration. Whereas Bologna were just patient with it the entire time. And I think that pissed Roma off even more. By the end of it, Llorente got a yellow card, and then okay, that's it. But I think the main thing that frustrated them is Bologna were making them run. Absolutely. If you notice, Bologna were releasing the ball. Like if Dybala's pressing, or El Shaarawy's pressing, or Tammy's pressing, let him press until the last second, and then I'm going to release a really long pass to my teammate on the right hand side. Yeah. Run to him now. And it's constantly, it's like a game of Torello when you really want to make someone swear. You just you wait, they arrive, and then you play a really long pass, and they have to do all that running again.
Absolutely. And had Roma taken their chances in the first half, would have been a totally different situation, particularly that Paredes chance, man.
Yes.
Oh, and he was frustrated because he had just gotten his yellow card, I believe he was booked before this. And the El Shaarawy one at the beginning, man. So yeah, I think this was a very well-deserved victory for Bologna. So street smart, so good at frustrating their opponents. And a nice little stat over here, for example, was that Bologna actually committed more fouls than Roma did. They committed 12 to Roma's 8. However, it was Roma getting 5 yellow cards and Bologna only getting 2, meaning their fouls were smarter.
They're tactical fouls, bro.
Exactly.
Tactical fouls.
And fouls with the intention to frustrate your opponent.
Yeah, I just want to do 2 quick shout-outs
Please.
to my homies. No.
To my homies, Dwayne.
I think just highlighting Zirkzee at this point, it's like, wow, Matt, you're really smart. No wonder you have a podcast. But like, I can't not praise Zirkzee after a performance like that, because he is
brilliant.
I've never seen, for a side like Bologna, a striker that can orchestrate play that much, that is so intelligent, that is so technical, that has so much size, that has his close ball control is incredible. He's honestly a 1 in a million footballer, and I mean it, man. I mean it. Remember watching him at Parma, saying that his movement was great, and he has great hold-up play. Amazing stuff.
I remember just saying, like, this was Zirkzee kid sauce. You know?
He flows. He flows.
Parma.
And Calafiori, I mean,
playing at left back now again. No problem. Put him anywhere.
He was doubtful for this game, but he just had a flawless performance. Left back, centre back, bro, wherever. Put Calafiori. Let's see him in the Italian national team now, because he's that caliber. Brilliant performance, brilliant, mature, involved on all fronts, going forward. Amazing.
Absolutely. So with that, Bologna find themselves in 4th with 62 points, while Roma are in 5th with 55 points. Of course, Bologna do have a game in hand over Roma, as they will be facing the mighty Udinese tomorrow, managed by new boy Fabio Cannavaro.
Yes.
Do catch those 15 minutes, guys. I'm sure they're going to be crazy. Imagine the intensity. They're going to be the most intense
funny.
15 minutes
Surely there's a rule that says no Choffy needs to be there. Bless you. It's like for the first 75 minutes there's Choffy.
Can you feel the new lineup? How does it work?
Hey, man, it's fucking...
It's weird.
I've never been so excited for 15 minutes in my life, and 15 minutes is like sex. And I've never been this excited for 15 minutes. Next game,
please.
Cagliari 2, Juve 2. The previous encounter was a 2-1 victory for Juve. Finally, Cagliari have gotten past those 3 dreaded fixtures that everyone in Sardinia was so fucking nervous for. And what for, man? What were you nervous for? Be worried about the relegation 6-pointers that are to come. Not about these idiots. They didn't lose a single one. They beat Atalanta, they held Inter, and now they held Juve. Great spell by Cagliari.
Dilly ding, dilly dong.
Literally, bro. Claudio, bro. Just a kiss from Serie spotlight. Juve, on the other hand, they just can't wait for the season to be over, unless it's the Coppa Italia. They did just lose 2-1 in the Coppa Italia, like you pointed out earlier. They got a goal at the end, which is a consolation in the game, but it gave them the 3-2 win on aggregate. Before that, they looked shit. Allegri just walked out after the final whistle, didn't shake 2 doors. Fucking bro, I really don't like this shit when the manager makes it like all about them. Like, look how frustrated I am. Yeah. Look at me. I don't tolerate this performance, and you're gonna blame me.
And then he faces the media, and they go like, "What do you think of that performance?" He goes, "We're in the top 4, which means that Champions League qualification is an objective that's getting closer. That was our objective from the get-go, and we are on track."
Grazie, mister. Grazie, mister. Literally.
Week in, week out.
With his really weird voice.
Yeah.
3-4-2-1 formation for Cagliari, with the impressive Scuffè in goal on the backline of Dossena, Mina and Hatzidiakos. Augello on the left, Nandes on the right, double pivot of Makumbu and Soleimana, Shumorodov and Zito Luvumbo playing wide of Gaetano. I almost fucked that one up. Luvumbo starting. He's often utilized as a weapon off the bench, but good to keep the opponents on their toes.
Yeah.
3-5-2 formation for Juve, with Szczesny in goal and a backline of Gatti, Bremer and Danilo. Weah on the right, Cambiaso on the left, and a midfield trio of Rabiot, Locatelli and Alcaraz. Alcaraz, who costs essentially 10 million every match he plays. Chiesa and Vlahovic starting together up front.
What's the situation with? Sorry to completely derail your prep.
They are asking for an extension because of the injury.
But it depends on if Southampton get promoted or not, right? Or,
I'm not sure about that clause.
There's a clause definitely about them being promoted. if he stays, I think they extend the loan. If Southampton don't get promoted, I think the loan is automatically or there's an option to
extend. He got injured for the majority of it, and he has that price tag on him. He's like, there's no way they're gonna buy me out.
They're currently 4th in the the championship? Yes, the championship. With
So
Leicester
there are the
first.
playoffs.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with Alcaraz, because poor kid, man, has got a lot of pressure on his shoulders to prove that he's worth 50 million in only a few games.
Southampton won't get promoted. I'll put money on it. 30th minute, Gaetano opened the scoring through a penalty. He sent Szczesny the wrong way. The penalty was awarded for Cagliari as Dos Sena's header struck the arm of Danilo. Danilo put his arms up and they were flailing, and penalty.
Hit his elbow, I believe.
Yeah. Oh, I made a mistake earlier and said Cagliari were ahead twice. They actually had a 2-goal lead.
Yes.
6 minutes later, in the 36th minute, Mina with a penalty, same corner, same result. The penalty was awarded as Szczesny brought down Luvumbo in the box. Juve thought they got a consolation, thought they got one back rather, at the end of the first half as Vlahovic netted, but Chiesa received the ball on offside position. It was just his knee and his forehead. Very close. 61st minute, Vlahovic got one back, an excellent free kick, which was not set up for a left footer. Slight favour from Makumbu for ducking underneath that.
He jumped and ducked in midair.
Literally, I've never seen anything like it, bro, in my life. In the 87th minute, as Juve continued their onslaught, trying to get a point against the mighty Cagliari, a deep cross by Yildiz was turned into the net by Dos Sena after mishitting his clearance. Before that, he hadn't put a foot wrong. It was another brilliant performance by Dos Sena. He's really growing on me as a defender. He's very smart and still young, man. He's still quite a young guy.
Yeah. I think 2 centre backs who deserve a lot of praise. Actually, we'll get into it later, because remember we discussed last week potentially preparing the relegation 11. I have one and I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Okay,
but
so
we'll do it later.
We'll do it later.
Stay tuned for that, guys.
Yes.
Okay, so the first thing I want to mention is that starting Luvumbo makes sense, man. You see this? He was causing all sorts of problems, man, at the beginning of the game. He was all over the place. He was all over Juve. They were struggling to contain him. He won the second penalty. Not to mention he got close, and Shomorodov at one point played a perfect ball to him. Perfect ball. And he failed to hit the target. He was kind of late on it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a good idea to start Luvumbo in situations like this. Start your best players. Even though you keep him for that extra gear, it works sometimes. But against certain teams that aren't going to press you too much, you can go out with it.
I think he's utilized in a smart way, man. I think Claudio has made really good judgment with when to start him and when not to start him, because he's been, in either case, he's been super effective. For me, I don't think he has the capability of linking up with his teammates so well in order for him to be a concrete starter.
Yes.
I like having someone that I could rely on with the ball at their feet. Luvumbo is explosive, and it's a good idea to bring him on later on, because a team might be attacking, they might be a bit more open, they might be fatigued, and he comes in and gives them this new lease of life as this new weapon.
He's chaotic, Luvumbo. He gets the ball and you have no idea if he's going to whip in an inch perfect cross or break your ankles with some movement. And he plays like he's not wearing shorts, which I find hilarious. That guy only wears a t-shirt. It's so funny, dude. He really sticks out. Shout out Shomorodov, man.
Yes, what a
player in these games. He's been super.
We know Shomorodov is good. Before his move to Roma, he had a good season.
Yes, at Genoa.
Yes. He was good, man. He was good. True. But he struggled, I think.
He's another tall guy with good technique.
Yeah, it was a big move for him. He kind of flopped. Ended up being, obviously, benched. I believe where was he after Roma? I think it was somewhere else and he was on the bench, if I'm not mistaken.
Let me take a very quick look.
Or I'm just...
You're making it up. No, Spezia.
Spezia.
Absolutely, he was quite bad there as well.
And Spezia got relegated.
Yeah.
But Shomorodov, typically they play La Padula, or back in the day, earlier this season, Petagna,
Eselametti,
Senia Pavoletti, and those aren't the most nimble. They have size, but Shomorodov has size, but he's quite nimble. Juve are shambolic as a football team this season. They're a total fucking mess. They're crumbling to fuck. We keep on saying that they'll get third place for sure. And as it stands, now it's come to a point where they're only 2 points ahead of Bologna, and then there's some breathing room because Roma are on 55 points but have that game in hand. Assuming they win that game, which brings them up to 58 points, they are then 6 points behind. 8 points behind Juventus. Sorry for the. I might still be fucking it up. 58 to 64. 6 points. 6 points. I was looking at Milan and then. So they keep slipping up. They're really lucky that the coefficient has come in the way that it does. It relieves some pressure for them. But they just can't wait for the season to be over. And I think it's clear that Allegri is out. No?
I think this is a clear case of saved by the coefficient. Huh?
Yes,
because the pressure is mounting and Bologna are coming in red hot, man. I think that Juve's season is far from a disaster considering what happened last year. Last year was tragic, right? I mean, on the pitch they did well, but off the pitch, of course, they suffered a great, devastating loss in the penalization.
Can I just say something? Because it's not shambolic. It's their worst second half of the season in 30 years.
Yes, and that's a very good point. The fact that it's their worst second half of the season in 30 years. However, the first half of the season was on par with some of their best because they started the season off super determined with an objective in mind. It was clear. You can ignore what Allegri was saying. They were there the entire time along with Inter, and they did believe. Because it was at that moment when they lost to Inter head-to-head that everything went downhill for them.
Yes.
And then look in the Coppa Italia, they play better, for example. So it is clearly a case of the players losing some form of motivation that they should have and should be playing with in the league. It's clear that they no longer see eye to eye with Allegri. I think everyone gives him an earful whenever they're subbed nowadays.
Yeah.
He subs out Chiesa, he's complaining. He subs out Vlahovic, he's complaining. He subbed out Cambiaso on the Coppa Italia to bring on Weah. And Cambiaso spent the entire time giving him shit, going up to him, whining in his ear. Why'd you sub me? What do you mean, why'd you sub me? Go and sit down.
Yeah, literally.
Go and sit down, dude. He's your coach. What are you doing? Talking back.
But he needs to leave. They
created an environment where this is acceptable because he sees Chiesa doing it, he sees Vlahovic doing it. All of a sudden, young Cambiaso, who should be obeying every single word from his mister, is talking back to him. You know? So it is a shambolic situation, you're right, at the moment, but thankfully, their strong start to the season and the fact that Allegri had these guys together at the start of the season really did save them because next year they're going to be in the Champions League. And it is thanks to Allegri. The second half is Allegri's fault, just as the first half is thanks to Allegri. So yeah, that's my take. I mean, I'm sure the approach to these games could be better. But when you look at the game and you see, okay, granted, Juve had 40% ball possession. Juve blah 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 had an XG of whatever. But you see the chances that these guys are missing. They're still getting these chances, especially early on. They're just being very wasteful, man.
I think, bro, because you say it's thanks to Allegri. Now, obviously, if they had a very good first half to the season, the combination of Allegri and players, obviously Allegri has to be factored in for the success that they had in the first half of the season. But the way in which it crumbled, I think, showcases the atmosphere that was created by his hard head, his inability to play any form of football that is to the strength of any of his players, and playing his players out of position the entire time, playing super defensive, playing Vlahovic with his back towards goal, subbing Chiesa out every 50th minute, I believe that in the first half of the season where Juve were motivated, we saw the best from their players. But the more Allegri wore them down and the more their spirits were destroyed, then he ruined them. I think that if Juve, with the squad that they have, the same squad that they have today, have Motta next season, and they wouldn't have had this half to the season, I think Allegri has totally lost control of this team.
I mean, the team at this point, it's difficult to just. I mean, how can you not lose control of these guys? You know, they know you're out. They know the club won't be continuing with you. They just want to play. They want their freedom. You know, the second you go out and you're like, all right, this coach is gone. I'm going to express myself. He pulls you out. Boom. Ciao, substitution.
Literally.
And then you get pissed off and you shout at him a bit. Then the young players, so you do that and they start shouting at you as well. Maybe they would be in a better situation with a progressive manager, but Juve were tied down because sacking Allegri would have cost them a fortune, and I think it's still the case.
It was like 8 million, I think.
They didn't have the financial security for that
Exactly.
because of no
they were
European
being
football.
Investigated
So
as well.
and they were being investigated, and now Ronaldo sued them, and they owe him 10 million.
Crazy, man.
You know,
Crazy.
So sacking Allegri and paying back Ronaldo is going to cost them their entire transfer.
They won't fucking buy a single player.
But yeah,
after that.
Allegri, for me, mission accomplished this season though. Qualify for Champions League and he did it. That's it. No matter what you say about his approach, that is the reality of the situation.
But that's the way Allegri thinks of it, which is the exact problem with how they performed this half of the season and throughout the entirety of the season. Because that's the goal I reached. That's why they'll never achieve more than just getting Champions League. His goal is to get Champions League. I'm fucking sorry, man. But last season, on paper, they came second. Yes. On paper, they came second. The season before, they made Champions League. Is your goal every season just to make Champions League so that you can get fucking knocked out of the Champions League?
I don't. That's not the Serie A winner as well. So
he's a serious Serie A winner 7 years ago, where he went on that run with Juve when Milan were 10th, Inter were 9th, Roma were 7th. And Lazio were 6th.
There were seasons where Roma and Napoli were right up.
Roma and Napoli, there was one season where Roma were upstairs. There was that one season. There was that one season.
Record.
Yes,
most points for a second.
He had a couple of seasons where he was great, but Juve also had the team that they did, bro. They had fucking Pirlo in that number 6. They had Carlos Tevez. They had Higuain. They had all of these guys,
and that's it.
They were the only financially secure team in Serie A back then. They were the only fucking what Roma and Napoli were attempting to do was miraculous, like.
Yeah, that's true. Yes,
but
Allegri, of
his
course.
success 7 years ago, and he shouldn't be credited for that in his second spell, because these 3 years, to me, they haven't been a success. If you're gonna say the goal is to get Europe, you know who got Europe before him? Sarri and Pirlo. They got Europe for him.
Yes.
So mission accomplished. If I set a target to lose 1 kilo in 1 year and I lose 1 kilo in 1 year, I could celebrate my fucking ass off.
I think considering what happened to Juventus with the points penalty, all the drama, the suspensions, Pogba and Fagioli and all that, they needed a company man at the helm who was going to defend the integrity of the club. And Allegri has always proven to be exactly that with his interviews, the way he conducts himself, the way he still managed to get the team to perform at an adequate level for the majority of the season. The majority of the season, not the entire season. Towards the end, they dipped hard, and the coefficient is probably going to save them. Just as the points, the penalty fucked them last season, the coefficient will save them this season.
Probably.
But I think Allegri came in handy for Juve. I think any other manager... And it could have been a disaster. He managed to even keep the stars at Juve.
But let's talk about Juve's decision to get Allegri 3 years ago. Because Juve parted ways with Allegri after, 6 seasons, 7 seasons, whatever the fuck that was. Then they brought in Sarri, sacked Sarri after a season, brought in Pirlo, sacked Pirlo after a season, and they're like, we tried something new. Didn't fucking work. Let's bring back Allegri to allow because obviously they were a weakened side after that. No, they lost a lot of talent, they lost a lot of quality after those 8, 9, whatever Scudetti in a row. And they wanted someone, like you said, someone a bit reliable, someone that knows the club, so on and so forth. And in that case, I understand that it's an accomplishment just keeping them there. But Milan hadn't got Champions League in 10 years. When Pioli came back, his goal was to get Champions League. He got Champions League in his first season. He won the league in his second. This is what great managers do. I'm not saying Allegri is not a great manager, but over the 3 years, when you think of what they did before and what they did now, leave
But
last season. Last
there
season
are many
they
factors to take into consideration as well. The fact that, for example, okay, so bringing back Allegri, first of all, is something that I'm not sure was smart. But that was Agnelli back then. Agnelli, with his lack of patience towards anything, Sarri comes in, he wins the league, boom, barra, ciao, that's it. Pirlo again comes in, sack him after one season. He was very much like that. Plus, he had his personal goal of bringing Ronaldo to Juventus, and he actually ruined a lot of the good work that had been done at Juventus by making that dream come true, because the Ronaldo deal financially was a disaster for Juve.
This is what happened with the plus was it the plus Valenza?
Yes.
The plus Valenza thing is essentially because they couldn't afford the wages of their team, obviously, because Ronaldo was taking up a chunk of them and they were paying them in cash.
Table, to avoid tax.
And then he leaves and they get sued to fuck by Ronaldo because they owe him 10 million.
Exactly. Yes, so the reality is that someone stepped in for Agnelli. Don't ask me the name right now. Allegri was there, and Allegri served them well. That's the fact of the matter for me. The management fucked up in the past. The players fucked up with the whole doping scandals and the gambling scandals and all that. And Allegri was there, and he steadied the ship.
He steadied the ship. The same way, to a degree, Roma had the ship settled by Mourinho. But let me tell you,
Mourinho did more than steady the ship.
I'm using an example. But the Mourinhos, the Allegris, these types of managers, the old school managers, they're being destroyed by a new wave of young progressive managers that are coming through and that are getting great success. Allegri isn't one of them nowadays. Mourinho isn't one of them nowadays. These old school managers have no place playing this super pragmatic and defensive football that used to get you results in 2006.
I watched an interesting mini documentary on YouTube about the whole coaching school in Italy, about how when you do your coaching license in Italy, you have to write a thesis, and the thesis has to be about a modern coaching approach or a modern coaching style, something to keep the coaches current. Because what had happened during those 10 years of, after after Inter won the treble, I believe there was a period where Italian football just dipped, right? Yes, there were 10 years where no Italian teams were actually doing well in the Champions League. Even coefficient-wise, it was dipping, they weren't a respected league. Italy, the quality had severely depleted. So their approach was to improve the qualification that coaches get. To improve the way that coaches get the qualification, the requirements. So now they need to write this thesis, whatever, about this whole modern thing. And now you have a whole new wave of Italian managers who have these progressive ideas. You've got the likes of Palladino, you've got the likes of Gilardino, you've got Cannavaro, who did it recently as well. These guys have De Rossi. These guys have modern ideas, and it wasn't the case before that coaches coming up would have these modern ideas. It was all about Catenaccio back in the day. And Catenaccio was part of the reason that Italian football had fallen so behind, because they weren't keeping up. Of course, you're still going to find the purists. You're still going to find the older generation, the Allegris, the Tudors of this world, not Tudor, the Juric of this world, and the Ballardinis and the Acchinis and all these guys. And there is a place for them, because some clubs do benefit from this style of football. However, that club should never be Juventus.
Exactly. That's it. It's simply, I feel like Juve had the right time to move away from Allegri and to start something new. They lost their patience with it. You can't fully blame Allegri for using the system which he knows best at the end of the day. But he is surrounded by young players who need to play attacking football, and he's not the man for them. It's as simple as that anymore. He once was. Juve are in third on 64 points. Cagliari 14th on 32. Some breathing room now from Frosinone on 28th.
All right. Monza hosted Atalanta and lost 2-1. The lineup for Monza was Di Gregorio in goal, with Kyriakopoulos on the left, Birindelli on the right, Izzo and Mari as the centre-back partnership, with Gagliardini and Warren Bondo in the centre midfield double pivot. Colpani was out on the right, with Zerbin out on the left, making this look like a 90s Italian fantasy football team, the way these guys were playing. Pessina in the middle, another lovely player, with Juric up front. For Atalanta, it was Carnesecchi in goal, with Toloi, Hien and Kolasinac at the back, Holm on the right, Bakar on the left, Pasalic and Ederson in midfield, with Lukman and De Ketelaere playing behind El Bilal.
Toure.
Toure. God almighty. It just won't stick, bro.
El Bilal Toure.
El Bilal Toure, not El Bilal Traore. I have to
El
stop
Bilal-
saying El Bilal Toure.
Two, bro.
Toure. Two il king.
Two, the king.
The reverse fixture was a 3-0 victory for Atalanta, in which Scamacca scored 2 and Ederson also got on the score sheet. Now, within the first 120 seconds of this game, Monza almost scored with a low cross from Zerbin, but Kyriakopoulos failed to connect with it. Kolasinac charged forward and was denied by Di Gregorio shortly after, with El Bilal wide open calling for the ball, but Kolasinac actually went for the shot. El Bilal missed a free header from Emil Holm's cross, and De Ketelaere scored with a diving header from a Lukman corner, despite being manhandled the entire time by Gagliardini, who looks like the most annoying opponent to face, man. He's another one who talks. There are a few talkers.
Yes, bro.
He's one of them.
And despite De Ketelaere, it was a ballsy goal.
It was.
Like, De Ketelaere looked and acted like a nerd last season, like he was scared of absolutely everything.
You remember Mancini, how he destroyed him?
Yes, bro, but this is a new De
Ketelaere.
Ketelaere.
Confidence is key.
Yes.
Young kings who are listening. Pessina fired over from a promising position in the second half, and then Atalanta eventually did double their lead with a well-worked move involving Toure and Lukman, who essentially 1-2'd, with Toure sweeping home from 12 yards to get his second goal in his first start. Yeah, that's it. That's the one. Weird one. Monza pulled one back with Daniel Maldini's curler into the far bottom corner from outside the area. Lovely goal over there. Daniel Maldini really brought his game, man, when he came on. And at the end of the game, Monza nearly equalized, with Maldini's effort hitting the post twice before going out with the last kick of the game. And you see the fans so disappointed.
A very identical strike to the initial one. They would have blown the roof off Monza's fans if that had gone in, bro.
So, the first thing I want to mention is that Monza have a few... I don't want to say they're brilliant players, but there's something vintage about them. The way these players play, I'm talking about like these fantasisti, the vintage fantasista and Serie, almost like that trequartista position. It's almost like Monza have an abundance of these guys. They've got Zerbin and Colpani, who play this beautiful, flashy style of football.
Yeah.
Daniel Maldini kind of adopted it as well recently, coming off the bench. You have Pessina as well. He kind of glides at times as well. It's a bit different. He's more industrious, Pessina, compared to the other guys. But Colpani, Zerbin and Daniel Maldini are just loving sexy magic at the moment.
Yeah, no, they're a very fun team to watch because I feel like they're slick.
Yeah.
And then off the ball, they're hard as fuck.
Absolutely.
So they like players like Mari, Izzo, Gagliardini. These are the guys that want to smash their opponents. And then you've got players like you said, like Zerbin, Colpani, Daniel Maldini, Pessina to a degree as well. That they've got a footballer's touch, like a natural touch of the football.
A gift, a true gift, honestly.
Yeah.
And there's something, again, 90s about them. The fact that they have no tattoos, none of them, I believe. Maybe Maldini has a few, but not that
many. He has that classic one, bro.
The two
the
lines.
band going around.
The ball.
Literally.
Yeah. They've got longish hair,
Or does Paolo Maldini
Maldini
I think he has that.
Right here.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's Paolo or Daniel that has it.
Yeah. So, yes, Atalanta, it's fair to say, survived the late scare over here.
Once again,
yes.
It was good to see like a taste of what next season's going to be like with El Bilal up front.
Not even next season, the end of this one as well.
The end of this one, but... there are important games coming up for them, literally. But I often forget that this is a guy that they broke their transfer record fee to sign him.
Absolutely. And
the poor guy had a horrible injury, which kept him out for so long. I thought he looked good in this game. And think of that Zapata from back in the day. There's something similar over there.
Yeah.
There's something cooking.
And more technical, it seems, from what I've seen so far. Yes, He is only 22 years old as well. And guess where he's from?
I can't.
Mali.
Mali, okay.
Yeah.
Like
I would have never
Mamadou Diarra. You
like
remember Mamadou Diarra?
Koulibaly of Salernitana.
Like Koulibaly of which one? The one from Mali.
The one from Mali, that's the one. Bro, I have a hilarious quote from Gasperini in this game. The guy, again, like, good luck trying to teach this guy about what you can and can't say. So, he's like 100 years old over there. So, they asked him if it will be a success, if the season will be a success, if Atalanta ended up trophyless, right? We cannot ask ourselves this question, said Gasperini. The season is fantastic already, regardless of what happens. I think it's idiotic to say you are a loser if you don't win trophies. If you are a journalist and not a director of a newspaper, are you a loser? If you think like that, half the world should kill themselves because they're all losers.
Fuck, man. Like 5% is all he needs to take it down. Like just
last sentence.
The last sentence. Scrap
you can do without
it. Literally. I get where he's coming from.
He's saying, I'm a loser. If I'm a loser, then half the world's losers.
No,
they should kill themselves.
Let me tell you why what he is trying to say is correct. Because there are steps to success. And if in season 2 you improve from season 1, and then season 3 you improve from season 2, and then in season 4 you win a trophy, are you going to call season 3 a failure? Are you going to call season 2 a failure? Are you going to call season 1 a failure? No. And I think there was a famous quote from an NBA player. I forgot who it was, but he essentially... Dwayne Wade. But essentially that. So, of course, they're not losers. Of course, not a bad season if they don't get silverware. Who would have thought that Atalanta would be in the conversation for silverware? Who thought that they would be in the semi-finals of the Europa? That they'd be... Well, last season they were in the semi-finals of the Coppa as well. But still, it is steps to success, no?
Yes. The reason maybe the pressure is starting to pile is because they've been good since 2017 now, Atalanta, since the whole Papu Illich.
They had their dip, huh? They had their dip. They came 8th a couple of seasons ago, bro.
They did.
Out of
they
Conference
did.
League.
They had a bit of a dip, but that was a 1 year off kind of thing. However, it must be acknowledged that they have one of the lowest wage bills in Italy.
They apparently, bro.
All the Prem clubs have a higher wage bill.
Except for one.
Which one?
Luton, is it? I think probably Luton, bro.
My God.
Did you see the Nottingham Forest owner?
Bro,
you saw what Nottingham Forest tweeted
on Twitter, bro.
Oh my
God,
bro.
that's hilarious.
It's the
best.
VAR
is a Luton fan. Well put. The VAR is a Luton.
You saw the decisions. You saw the decisions.
They're bad.
VAR is a Luton fan, bro. It's mental, bro. It's mental. It's mental.
Okay, I'll take a look.
I'll show you.
The VAR is a Luton fan is so funny though. The VAR is a Luton fan. You can tell, like, how old was the person who wrote that, bro?
Literally. But their owners. Everyone's saying it's the owners that wrote it. The owner is Greek, so he has
he's the guy,
Greek
the Olympiacos
fire.
guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He has
the controversial
Greek fire about him, no?
Absolutely. But yes, Atalanta were smart to win this one. They took their chances early on. They didn't suffer much. They only suffered 2 shots on target towards the end of the game, and that almost cost
smart to win this game. I don't know if smart is the kind of fortunate.
Fortunate at the end. I always think with Atalanta their approach is perfect until they have to defend what they've done.
Yes.
And it almost cost them another game over here, and that would have been terrible.
They're great at defending with the ball at their feet,
and it's the same a little bit with Inter. And you notice it? Inter leave it very late to shut up shop. But once they shut up shop, they suffer. And you could tell. Milan.
Yes and no, because they only conceded 3 goals past the 75th minute this season.
But it's more like an aesthetic thing. It's more like they look penetrable sometimes towards the end of games.
But they suffocate you. They always have the ball.
Yeah, they kept opening them up. But anyway, yeah, of course. I'm just going to read you the league positions right now. And Monza, by the way, not at the beach. They're playing well.
True.
So it's not like they've been drinking Aperol spritzes and relaxing and enjoying survival. So yes, Monza are 11th with 43 points, while Atalanta are 6th with 54 points.
Genoa 0, Lazio 1. The previous encounter was Lazio 1, Genoa 0. Genoa had Messias, Malinovsky, Bani and Maturo out, but Retegui returned to the starting 11 with Albert Goodmanson in a deeper role. Immobile, Zaccagni, Guendouzi and Provedel didn't make the trip for Lazio, and this was the first match since Felipe Anderson signed for Palmeiras and Luis Alberto publicly requested a transfer. So there's a 3-5-2 formation for Genoa, with Martinez in goal on the back line.
Just FYI, that was the chair. Because I'm seeing you.
I was certain you farted.
You were gonna die.
I was certain you farted. I was trying my best to play it cool. I'm like, no one heard that.
No, that was the chair, bro. That's what they all say.
3-5-2 for Genoa. Martinez in goal. A backline of Vasquez, De Winter and Vogliaccio. Martin on the left, Spence on the right, and the midfield three of Frendrup, Strutman and Goodmanson, with Retegui and Ekuban up front together. 3-4-2-1 formation for Tudor's Lazio. Mandas in goal on the backline of Patrick, Chazale and Gila. Marusic on the right, Lazzari on the left, and a double pivot of Vecino and Kamada, with Anderson and Alberto playing behind Tati Castellanos. The only goal came in the 67th minute, and it was scored by the man that requested a transfer earlier last season, basically saying he's not going to take another cent from Lotito.
Earlier this week.
Earlier this week.
Yeah.
What did I say?
Earlier last season.
Last season, I
think as well
week.
he requested one. He does this every year,
and the season before. Kamada pulled it back from the byline. Vecino let it run to Alberto, who scored and pointed at the badge. So obviously Twitter saying, is he staying? Is this him apologizing to the fans? No. This is him clearly saying, thank you Lazio for the past 6 or however many years. My problem is not with the club. I just need to move away, but forever in my heart.
Yeah.
No, he made the statement, pointed to the badge. It's all love.
Absolutely.
Is that not it?
I think that's it, yes. I think it's more like, my problem is with Lotito, not with you. You know, and that's fair enough. What's his name said something hilarious, Dave, when it happened. I can't quite remember what he said. He made a comparison. I can't remember and I can't find it. But basically Lazio fans felt like Luis Alberto was playing with their emotions over there, you know, pointing at the badge. But yes, I mean, it's more like he's telling them, all love, respect to Lazio. I love Lazio. I've loved my time here. I love you guys. The problem is Lotito. And I don't want to take another cent from Lotito.
Exactly. Lotito, after the game,
wearing his cool cowboy hat.
He looks ridiculous. He looks ridiculous.
He looks bloody ridiculous. Everyone booing him and he's in that hat.
Old. He's like, he's old. He's ancient as well. No, he's like 75 years old.
75?
I'm quite sure,
Holy
bro.
Holy shit.
Can you check how old Lotito is?
I think it's Claudio, right? Claudio Lotito.
Yes.
Lotito age. Let's take a look here. 66. Okay, it's not that.
He's not ancient. Old. He's not 75.
Yeah. He's Sarri's age.
Yeah, literally.
De Laurentiis is ancient. He's 74. No, he's looking good for 74.
De Laurentiis.
Yeah, not bad.
He's a movie guy.
At 74, I'd take that.
Lotito has shut the door on the Alberto sale. This is what he said. Luis Alberto has another 4 years on his contract. He made that comment, but we did not put him up for sale. In the last match, he showed love for the club. He showed love for the club and quality. We trust he will continue this path as a protagonist. Showed his love for the club. I'm sure he's referring to the fact that he pointed at his badge.
This guy.
But like, a player wants out and he has 4 years left on his contract. Lotito, Ching. What, you're gonna wait for him to sit on the bench or not be called up for games for 3 more years, and then he leaves on a free? Sell.
I hope they find a solution, because the last thing I want is the last 2 years of Alberto magic that we can experience to be ruined by Lotito because he's keeping him out of the squad.
Literally.
Yeah, that would be absolutely terrible, man. Yeah, let's hope a solution is found ASAP.
Stage 1 is denial, Lotito. Tudor is having it quite tough at the moment, so a mixed start for Tudor overall as Lazio manager. But quite a baptism of fire, because he entered and everyone wants to leave. He needs to calm it down. God knows what a tough task that is, man, for a manager.
It must be a nightmare. The first thing that happened to him when he joined was he beat Juve in the league and then lost to them in the cup. But so far in the league, he's won 4 games and lost 1 against Roma, which happens to be the derby, right? Not bad. Pretty good. I think he's doing well so far, especially, as you mentioned, this is a very tough task, because he walked into a room and he walked into his first day at work and everything's on fire.
Exactly.
And there's no fire extinguisher in sight, and your boss is there poking the players with a stick. Literally, his employees, provoking them. And he has to somehow calm it down when his future is up in the air, because it's not even sure if he'll be there next season, Tudor.
Okay.
He might be a temporary fix, an interim manager.
I thought he signed a long-term contract.
Well, I don't know. I think it might have been till the end of the season. I'm not too sure, but however, I have heard speculation of him potentially not being there next year, so it's not new for sure. It's definitely something that's being discussed. But I think overall he's had a pretty strong start, and even almost coming back against Juve in the cup, and then cup
he beat Juve.
He beat them.
He beat them. There's 2-4-3 against Juve.
The squad limitations really showed towards the end of the game, where Juve brought in the young players to press high, and they just couldn't play it out, and they barely created a chance towards the end of the game. Lazio, they could barely get into the box with the way they were pressing. But they need a few new players, man.
Tati should have made it 3, man. Tati at that point he should have.
Wasn't he offside?
I think he was offside anyway. He was offside anyway, but he tried to do the Salamakers. He tried to chip it.
He was confident after 2 goals.
Tati finds himself in really good positions, man. He's not always the cleanest,
so smart, man,
but he's very, very smart. He's very smart.
That's why I tell you, I see him. I kind of see him as a second striker, 10, man. And I think
imagine at Inter alongside someone he's the Lautaro. Retegui hasn't scored since end of February. He hasn't scored since my birthday.
What was that? His goal against Malta?
He had a crack from halfway in this game. It was quite close. It went over. He had the keeper caught out completely. I love that shit, man. We need more halfway goals. I remember at this stage last season, Biraghi did it, and
there was another one this weekend. No, someone shot from halfway. I can't remember who it was.
I'm not sure. DiMarco did it last season. Cope Miners.
DiMarco scored this season from halfway.
DiMarco this season. Cope Miners last season.
Ilicic. Once Ilicic. With a fantastic one against Serie.
Amazing against Torino.
They beat them
7-1, or 7-0.
Love that.
One more thing, Goodmanson in midfield. Thoughts on him as a midfielder?
Oh, he's just the type of player you can put anywhere. He's brilliant.
So he's being linked to Inter. And in Inter, I really see him fitting that role. Or, with Lautaro's injured, fitting in the Lautaro role. But they also signed Zielinski. So Zielinski is going to take on that Mkhitaryan role.
But I don't know, because Mkhitaryan offers a certain amount of industry that Goodmanson definitely doesn't have. But Zielinski,
He might. We've seen him operate closer to goal for Lazio Zielinski, so it's hard to gauge what it'd be like in a midfield 3 for the balance. But this is why I want someone to assert his dominance at Milan as a manager, because under Inzaghi, he tells you that that's what you do.
Yeah, exactly.
That's your position, bro.
Exactly.
But Goodmanson, I see him close to the goal. I'm not sure. He's a great fit for anyone, Goodmanson. But according to how teams play, according to the formations that they play and the manner in which they play, I don't see him as the perfect fit for Inter. I see him more aligned with Milan. Or Lazio or Roma.
Absolutely. With De Rossi. Or if Juve get Motta, that would be a match made in heaven.
Yes.
Yeah, I do think that it's the case of a good player going to the wrong club if he does join Inter, yes. But we'll see what Inzaghi can do, because Inzaghi seems to have a way at making things work.
Yeah, but he was good in midfield in this game.
Yes.
I agree. So Lazio are in 7th place on 52 points, whilst Genoa are in 12th on 39 points.
We have Empoli.
Genoa, I'm so sorry. Sorry. Genoa only won 9 games this season. What? They drew 12 and lost 12.
For comparison,
they won 1 more game than Lecce.
Wow. I mean, yes,
they're only
they
4
were.
points ahead of Lecce.
They're newly promoted, huh?
Yes, of course.
They're the Monza of the season.
But it's impossible to view them as newly promoted. They're so good, bro. I really like them.
They're really good. They play lovely football.
Yeah.
Gilardino, baby, with his thesis. So, Empoli 1, Napoli 0. Yes.
Disaster.
The reverse fixture, do you remember?
No.
Empoli 1, Napoli 0.
Oh my God, really?
Thanks to a last-minute Kovalenko goal.
Now God, yes.
Rudy Garcia was the manager, because I thought we might want to know who it was. It was him, I checked. That means that Empoli got 6 points out of Napoli this year.
Madonna, man. Madonna.
It's crazy, yes. So, lineups: Caprile was in goal for Empoli with Berezinski, Valukovic and Luperto as the back 3. Jazi was on the right. Emanuel, another one which is underrated, by the way. Emanuel Jazi, hilarious. Giuseppe Pezzella on the left. Alberto Grassi and Male in the middle, with Fazzini and Cambiaghi playing behind the gigantic Alberto Cerri. Meret was in goal for Napoli, a man who is currently under pressure yet again.
Yeah.
Nathan was the left back with Di Lorenzo as the right back. Juan Jesus and Ostigard with the centre back partnership, with Zilinski, Lobotka and Anguissa in the middle. Kvaratskhelia on the left, Politano on the right, and Osimhen in the middle. Call it a reverse hot dog. So Jazi provided a cross for Cerri to score with a header at the back post, breaking the deadlock in under 4 minutes. And we already made the joke that by the time he had his last goal cancelled out, his girlfriend or wife gave birth. Yeah, because that...
So good.
It's good. Yeah. It's funny as he sucked his thumb. Cerri was forced to leave the pitch shortly after that due to injury. He was replaced by Mbayan Young, who just looks so mature and so decent nowadays.
It's strange. Because he was young, then we didn't see him for like 12 years. Now he's back as a veteran.
Came back as a veteran. A mature veteran with a cool head that Milan fans would have wished he had back then. Remember?
Against Barca.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, please don't go there. Empoli missed a chance when Cambiaghi hit the upright from a Nyang pass after dribbling past Juan Jesus, and this was a massive miss of the week if there's a category. In the second half, Politano's left foot strike was deflected wide. Zambo Anguissa tried to set up Osimhen instead of going for goal himself, where he was open. He should have definitely taken a shot, but he tried to set up Osimhen. Politano and Kvaratskhelia saw their shots deflected just off target as Empoli defended brilliantly. Empoli got deeper and deeper and deeper. Napoli kept pushing, but they failed to capitalize on their possession, and Caprile made a brilliant save, diving into the feet of Osimhen towards the end of the game.
I think he's really grown on me, Caprile.
He has.
Brilliant.
I think Empoli did brilliantly not to suffer much and could have easily had 2 goals this game.
Yeah, I think so. And Empoli, that's the thing about them, right? Davide Nicola as their manager, they have a miracle in them.
Yeah.
But this is why perhaps people don't stick with Davide Nicola for a long stretch throughout the season, because it's very hit or miss. They turn up to an occasion like this and they can very well get you 3 points. His Salernitana can do that. His Crotone can do that. And his Empoli can do that. But over the course of a season, that's where inconsistency starts to play a part. And it's so funny that there's a man that is only good when the house is on fire.
Yeah, that's him. But, he's still relatively young when you look at the manager. Because I tend to look at him as a survival specialist veteran. But he's not really a veteran. He still has plenty of time in his career to make a name for himself long term. He just needs to find a way to keep that motivation lasting longer.
And he had a good season with Salernitana. With Salernitana, he had a decent season after he helped them survive. They had like a
normal
15th,
start.
14th place season, and then it was the next season where he was inconsistent and he got sacked twice in 3 weeks. It was crazy. He's already had long seasons in Serie B. But I think I want to see him get a club promoted, man. I want to see him take...
I'm sure he's done it, bro. I'm sure he's done it. Probably. You don't end up becoming a Serie A specialist, a survival specialist, without having actually done the dirty work. Davide Nicola, let's see his honors. I'm sure he has promoted teams before.
I'm not so sure. Because he was at Bari, and Bari hadn't gotten promoted under him.
God, we'll have to check this later. I'm terrible at multitasking under
That's
pressure.
fine. Continue. I'll look it up.
Sure, yes. Napoli, as of late, have been wasteful. It's not like they created many chances this game. But you can see the players are starting to lose patience with each other. And this is a theme I've observed throughout this match day. It seems that players towards the end of the season are letting their hair down and growing visibly frustrated with each other. In this game, you could see Osimhen and Politano screaming at each other. Osimhen demanding to be played through when Politano went for goal. Politano's on inspired form. You don't really blame him for that.
Yeah.
In the Milan game, you saw Leao and Pulisic at one point arguing. There was another game in the Coppa Italia last night, was it? Someone started, I can't remember. But yeah, we're seeing many players arguing now and letting their hair down and being maybe more transparent on the pitch. One more thing I want to point out is that if Niang let himself fall to the ground after he was touched, that would have been a penalty when he set up Cambiaghi.
Which one, sorry?
The chance that Cambiaghi missed. Niang was tackled hard and he could have easily gone to ground, but he stayed up to play Cambiaghi through.
Yes.
Nice to see, on the one hand.
But
on the other hand, go to ground.
Go to ground.
Yes.
It wouldn't have even had to go to VAR. So just to update you on Davide Nicola thing, there is no honors section on his Wikipedia page.
That's what threw
and
me off, to be honest.
On Transfer Market, when you go on his honors, the page is completely empty.
Don't worry, now I'll ask Manala.
Hey,
bro,
but
Nicola,
I believe
got promoted.
his first spell in Serie A, because it was here, managerial statistics, was it? No, managerial career. His first stint in Serie A came under Serie A. He was appointed manager of Serie A newcomers Crotone. Before that, he was with Bari. Before that, Livorno.
So maybe he was just doing well in Serie B without actually getting promoted.
Sorry, during the 2012-2013 season, Nicola became the head coach of Livorno in Serie B. In January 2014, Livorno sacked Nicola with the club second bottom in Serie A.
What the Okay, we'll take a look at this and come back next week, because this is... Yeah, Wikipedia is not the best.
No.
Some guy with a fat blunt in his mouth wrote that. But yeah, another disappointing game for Napoli, but they're mentally checked out at this point, which is a shame because they are totally in the running for a European spot, be it the Europa League, but that will help them greatly. We saw Gvicha Kvaratskhelia trying at one point. He did really well to create some space for himself, but couldn't get it past Caprile.
Yeah.
And at the moment, they sit in 8th with 49 points, while their opponents in Empoli have climbed out of the relegation pool and are on 31 points in 16th.
Yes, sir. Salernitana 0, Fiorentina 2. The previous encounter was a 3-0 victory for Fiorentina. It's a free 3 points nowadays when you go play Salernitana. Mental squad rotation alert, with Fiorentina being forced to extra time in the Conference League quarter-final versus Pilsen on Thursday, and the second leg of the Coppa Italia semi-final against Atalanta just starting now. Italiano left Nico Gonzalez, Andrea Bellotti, Mbala Nzola, Lucas Beltran, Giacomo Bonaventura, and Comuzzo at home. It was a let me start with Fiorentina now that I said that. Was a 4-2-3-1 for them, with Terracciano in goal and a backline of Coyote, Martinez, Ranieri, and Parisi. Lopez and Duncan formed the double pivot, Icona on the right, Sotil on the left, Barak up front, and behind him, Castrovilli. Welcome back Castrovilli. What a devastating injury he had. 3-4-2-1 formation for Salernitana, Ochoa and goal and the backline of Pirola, Fazio and Pierozzi, Bradaric on the left, Sambia on the right, and a double pivot of Basic and Legovski. Kandreva and Chuana played behind Ikumezi. What are you doing? You're putting the game on, legend.
Hell yeah, totally legally.
Yeah. So Fiorentina left it quite late. Obviously, mental squad rotation alert, like I said, but also a very slow start to the game by them. A whole lot of, like you said, you said it perfectly, right? They bark, but they don't bite, right? And you wouldn't want your first goal against Salernitana to come in the 80th minute. But they got it in the 80th minute through Kwame. The substitute scored a looping header after a good cross by Ranieri from a central position. And in the 94th minute, after failing his attempt, Mandragora rolled the ball back to Ikone, who had pretty much an empty net and made no mistake. This is the first time in his career that he scored in back-to-back games, Giorgio Ikone.
That's who fought. You just reminded me. Ikone and Ranieri. Because Ikone, before he scored, took Ranieri's shot. Ranieri had a clear shot.
Yes,
and
right.
Ikone took it from him.
You're right,
yeah, that's
you're
the
right.
one.
You're right. Weekly bye-bye to Salernitana once again. Bye-bye.
Like
it's...
Can't wait to see them again. I can't wait to have them in Serie A again. Their fan base is brilliant. One of the best in the league.
Like Serie A is going to be a bit less enjoyable without Salernitana.
Absolutely. But Lecce have really stepped up. They've kind of replaced them. Salento instead of Salerno, am I right?
Yeah, come on Salento. No, it's all about Sardinia.
Whoops, it's a goal.
It's a goal.
Atalanta take the lead. Coop Miners. All right.
I say it properly and you don't.
This is a watch along now. What a finish.
Great finish.
Bottom corner there.
Top corner.
The Dutchman.
I have a funny point. Fiorentina are Pioli's Milan when they're shit. You know what I mean?
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yes, I know exactly what you mean about the final third, but the intricate passages of play are something that we don't really see with Milan when they're shit.
That's true. That's true. Oh, that is a great
That's
finish.
a good finish. We need to stop.
That's true. But Fiorentina, look, in reality, there's not much I want to talk about this game because Fiorentina went out with a weakened side, a rotated side, and they beat Salernitana 2-0, right? We could celebrate that Salernitana held on for 80 minutes against a side that doesn't... Yeah. But what I want to kind of preview is this game that we're watching right in front of us right now, which is Fiorentina-Atalanta. I genuinely don't think that Fiorentina will advance to the final. I really don't think this will be another season where they're in two finals.
I think it's going to be tough in Bergamo. Look at that, bro. Yeah, this is going to be a tough one for them. I think the final of the Coppa Italia this year will be Juve-Atalanta. You predicted Juve to win it. I predicted Atalanta to win it, so we'll see what happens.
But there's only one team I'm going to be supporting over there.
Absolutely.
Look at that, Socios.
There we go, ball in the bag. Thank you for showing that on camera. Ecstatic I am.
But they should do it in a bit more of an entertaining and engaging way, because it's getting boring. It's like product placement. Imagine we just had a bottle of something here all the time. It's boring, no? But what if every now and then we had a mystery item inside and whoop it out, you know? Whatever.
Yeah.
Fiorentina versus Bruges. Technically, they should get it done. But Bruges are one of these teams, much like Ajax, much like Feyenoord, and much like these teams.
Bodo Glimt.
I don't think you know where I'm going with this. Much like Bodo Glimt. That would have this homegrown talent that nobody knows about.
Bodo are one of them, bro. They have good players, man. You don't remember they had that like golden generation where Milan had bought one?
From Bodo?
From Bodo Glimt. We had, what's his name? Come on, he was a blonde guy, small.
Hauge,
yes.
Hauge from Bodo Glimt,
of course, yes. And they had an entire youth team that was doing really well back then. I can't remember any of their names, but yeah, they produced some nice talent.
Okay, so Bodo Glimt, yeah, and that makes perfect sense. Like they shocked Juve, they shocked Roma. So yeah, Bodo Glimt definitely one of those teams. You could never, like, you're never well informed enough about these teams, and then turns out they'll have mental young talent. They have some promising up and coming coach, because the Eredivisie and the Belgian League and all these is a really, really good place to start getting solid experience. Absolutely. And the amount of talent that is generated from those areas. So it's not going to be as straightforward for Fiorentina. on paper, probably Fiorentina, they've got the more valuable players, the more experienced players, but let's see. They're not a club that you can just... That's where Charles de Ketelare came from.
Absolutely.
Who was that other guy that Milan wanted alongside Charles de Ketelare? He had a cool name, man. It was quite a cool name.
And a mohawk.
And a mohawk.
I can't remember
Either.
We're like Arnando. Madonna, skinniest
Madonna. I can't remember right now, but it'll come to me and I'll scream it at some point. But that's all with regards to this game, literally. Fiorentina are in 9th on 47 points, while Salernitana last on 15.
Sassuolo hosted Lecce, and there was only one way this game was going to go, as the Salento fans filled the Mapei Stadium, and you can see that all the supporters were there singing. It was like a home game for Lecce, standing behind the posts over there, shirtless, enjoying the sun, tanning their middle-aged bodies. It was a glorious sight to behold. They lost 3-0, yes. Consigli was in goal for Sassuolo. Pretty much says it all.
Yeah.
Now listen to this backline. Toljan, Erlich, Ferrari, Viti. Pretty much says it all.
Literally.
Thords, Vet, Henrique were the double pivot, with Defrel on the right, Lauriente on the left, Bayrami in the middle as a trequartista, and Pinamonti up front. For Gotti's formidable Lecce, it was a classic standard 4-4-2 formation, with Falcone the Falcon in goal, Jean-Drey on the right, Gallo on the left, with Bascarotta and Pongracic as the centre-back duo, Udon on the right, Dorgu on the left, Rafian Blin in the middle, with Piccoli and Kristovic both starting this game. And it all started off. The reverse fixture actually was a 1-1 draw. That's more appropriate, I think, for this game. Which saw Berardi scoring in the 22nd minute, and then Kristovic scoring in the 46th in the first leg. Scamacca has just scored to make it 2-0 for Atalanta.
Oh my god.
Yeah, this is only 13 minutes in, so they're doing well. The first half, Lecce's Jean-Drey scored with a header at the back post from an Udon free kick, a very nice Udon free kick. Dorgu doubled Lecce's lead by sweeping home across from Gallo, so they were just literally crossing and scoring. The defense not even bothering to track back. Terrible. Pinamonti missed a free header. Defrel fired over, and Viti's pullback went unmet. Jean-Drey missed another free header from a corner, and Pinamonti's acrobatic volley was saved by Falcone. In the second half, Lecce almost scored the third goal with Dorgu's header cleared off the line by Ferrari. Lecce extended their lead to 3-0 with Piccoli's goal assisted by Kristovic on a counter-attack. He nutmegged Consigli. Consigli made a crucial save to deny Piccoli another goal, and he fingertipped Udon's cross away. And then Mulattieri, who had come on because Pinamonti was so disappointing, had a header saved by Falcone. And then Pasquerotto prevented a tap-in. Yeah, man. Basically, Sassuolo took too long to grow into both halves. Yeah. They had 2 slow starts in each half, and they were punished for it. Yeah, I don't know, bro. I don't know. The Sassuolo are just so uninspired right now. They're playing so half-assed. It's like they've given up. And they're conceding a lot. And with Ballardini, man, at the helm, you don't usually concede this much. It's abnormal.
No. Firstly, I just want to say, because I've been doing my research on the side about Davide Nicola, and I believe he did get Livorno promoted in the 2012-2013 season after he beat Empoli over 2 legs in the playoffs and the playoff final. So Livorno got promoted. I took them to Serie A. Sorry,
that's all right. And in the meantime, while you were saying that, goal disallowed. So boom, 3 topics. Scamacca's goal was given out.
Oh my god, that is a
ruled out for a foul.
Sassuolo, I think, if you look at their previous managers, first they had De Zerbi, and they were fighting
first
for.
They had Di Francesco.
They had Di Francesco, and they got Europe with Di Francesco. Then they had De Zerbi, and they were playing amazing football under De Zerbi. They were a top 10 team under De Zerbi. And then Dionisi came over, but when Dionisi was there, they started to lose their talent, right? So first they lost Raspadori, they lost Scamacca.
Traore?
Yes, Traore. They left not Chaka. Chaka's Milan's. On the Traore, who plays on the left wing.
Maxime
Lopez. They lost Kirikes.
Politano.
They lost a bunch of talent, and much like Hellas, in a very Hellas Verona way. They they just got rid of all of their stars except for Domenico Berardi, right? They let that dip. They kept on showing faith in Dionisi for such a long time without any significant improvements happening anywhere. It was same old Sassuolo for 2 seasons, just regressing and regressing. And it came to a point where now they got this relegation veteran specialist to try tighten things up at the back. They notice, oh shit, it's a bit hard to tighten things up at the back when individually the back is so a nightmare.
Yeah.
And now this isn't Sassuolo this season. This is progressively just Sassuolo getting worse and worse and worse, because that pyramid, it started from the very tip and it's melting down all the way to the bottom.
And that defense has been a problem that hasn't been addressed for many seasons in a row now. And I think they're due relegation, to be honest, man. They're just such a dead club at the moment.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Lecce on the other. Look at Lecce.
Yeah,
look
absolutely.
at Lecce, man.
Absolutely, man. And the owners give a fuck. They're there every bloody game.
Their fans
They're
give
involved.
a fuck.
They run on the pitch. You see the Lecce owner after this game running up to the fans and jumping and clapping at the fans.
Yeah.
You know, a man who's involved there. And even Gotti, man. Gotti's been tactically flexible. He's been, the way he has Dorgu playing has been super.
Yes.
Dorgu playing as an inverted winger, Dorgu playing as a left midfielder, left back. He's playing him everywhere. He doesn't care.
Literally.
And he's doing really well. So yes, love to see that. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else that needs to be said about this one.
I don't think
it's
so.
just going super poorly for Sassuolo, and they seem almost destined for the drop at the moment, and they bloody well deserve it.
Yeah, I agree.
This is my game again?
No, where's your table,
yes.
bro?
What? Oh shit! Yeah,
I do have it. So Lecce are in 13th on 35 points. They can breathe, man. It's like they lived in Malta their entire life, and now they're in Germany, like in the north of Germany, just breathing, dog. Sassuolo, 19th on 26 points.
They're in like the middle of.
It could be because we're saying like it's either Udinese or Frosinone. There's a there is a world where Sassuolo survive and Frosinone and Udinese get
exactly. We'll see
demoted.
what Cannavaro does.
We'll see what Cannavaro is gonna cook
what a
up.
twist!
Speaking of Fabio Cannavaro, Verona 1, Udinese 0.
Martinelli.
Right? Ooh. The previous encounter was a 3-3 draw. It was a spectacle, that game. This was a huge battle to avoid sliding into the bottom 3, as both were hovering 1 point above the drop zone. The Friulani had a game in hand, as last week's match with Roma was suspended at the 72nd minute with the score at 1-1. So the remaining 20 minutes will be played on April 25th, which is tomorrow. So Udinese can get a point that can be very, very helpful over there.
Absolutely, yeah. They need it. They're just gonna go.
I don't think they're gonna get
park
it, bro. I don't.
You don't think? You think Roma?
I think Roma
score?
go and they score.
It's tough. At 15
I think Roma
minutes.
will score.
That's gonna be a cracker. At 15 minutes
I
of
can't
pure
fucking
chaos.
wait, bro. What can you find out what time it's gonna be? Because I have some fucking work shit, man. 4-2-3-1 for Verona, with Montepo in goal and a backline of Cabal, Coppola, Magnani and Centonze. Serdar and Silva in the double pivot, with Lazovic on the left, Mitrovic on the right, and Folorunshaw playing behind Tiani Noslin. That's Michael Folorunshaw. 3-5-1-1. This, like, even just like, what the fuck are you doing? Like Gotti's formation is crazy, bro. Okoye in goal, in the backline of Neuen Perez, Bijol and Christensen. Ezibwe on the right, Kamara on the left, and a midfield trio of Payero, Wallace and Samardzic, with Pereira playing behind Luka. Noslin hit the post with a header just before the first half came to a close. Bijol had a good opportunity and his header flashed just wide after a Samardzic corner. Coppola did incredibly well to deny Ezibwe with a last-ditch sliding block in the 72nd minute. Folorunsho's header hit the crossbar in the 87th minute after Duda curled a free kick into the box. They thought they were going to win it then. They thought maybe that was the last chance they can get. But in the 92nd minute, Duda's corner was headed in by Coppola Verona's very own homegrown player, winning them a 6-pointer at the death. Absolutely amazing stuff. I have to praise Verona over here, because when Verona are in a 6-pointer or when the going gets tough, Verona get going. And they leave it late. Last season, it took them a fucking playoff to survive. A play out against Spezia. This season, I think they might avoid a relegation playout.
Yes.
I think they'll do enough, because in these 6-pointers, man, I tend to favor Hellas Verona, and just a massive shout out how they fucking managed, how they are currently managing to make things work. Because halfway through the season, I told you, I'll bet you €5, I'm going to bring it up to you again, that Verona will get relegated and they'll be lost. Because they were just getting rid of everyone. They were getting rid of everyone, And you know, management as well. So, just a shout out them. Baroni
is incredible, man.
Is great.
Yes. The way he's handled the situation is honestly coach of the season worthy. If there weren't, I think, look, the top 3 most impressive coaches this season, you have to give it to Inzaghi for the sheer dominance all around. You have to give it to Motta. Motta for what he's done with Bologna. And then you look at Baroni, man. Baroni, what he's done under the circumstances is absolutely incredible. True, the fact he doesn't concede goals, man. Verona hardly concede any goals. They're a tough side to score against.
Don't forget De Rossi.
De Rossi as well, but he didn't have as many games.
It's besides the point we're talking.
It's absolutely incredible, man, what Baroni is doing here. And they're looking likely to survive at this point.
Yeah, and it's great just to get a manager like that when everything is such a mess, just to get everyone together again. Come on, guys, we're fighting relegation here. Udinese, on the other hand, are in some serious danger. Okay, if they get a point against Roma, or if they get 3 points against Roma, it'll be a whole different story. Because they're currently level on points with Frosinone, both on 28. Frosinone in 18th and Udinese in 17th. A point could make quite a difference, but it still doesn't save them. Gotti has been sacked following this game after losing one of the few chances they're going to get to survive, right? A game against a fellow relegation rival. So Cioffi has been sacked. He was obviously their second manager this season after replacing Sotil. It was a weird appointment in the first place, getting Cioffi, because Cioffi was at Udinese in, I believe, 2021. Yes, he was at Udinese in 2021. And he did shit. He was replaced by Sotil, and Sotil did pretty fucking good. He went to Verona in 2022, and he did shit. And then he was threatened by relegation those entire times. And then they said, fuck, we're in a fucking relegation dogfight here. Bring in Cioffi. Like, I don't get it. Do you not know any other managers? Like, I find it really strange. Yeah. But now...
Do you have unlimited calls to him?
Yeah. But now, out with Cioffi and in with 2006 Ballon d'Or and World Cup winner Fabio Cannavaro.
The man who's always smiling.
Yes, because he has a fantastic smile.
And a fantastic life.
Yeah. What do you mean?
He has a good life.
Yes, he has a good life.
World Cup winner.
Ballon d'Or winner. One of the only 2 defenders, I believe, have won it before.
Good
him
teeth,
and Beckenbauer.
Beautiful eyes, balled out of choice. Good life.
He has a good life.
Yeah.
He has a good life. Is there a catch somewhere? So
no,
he doesn't have a good life?
No, he has a great life. Except now he's managing with it.
It's just got a whole lot worse. Let's look at A, his managerial history, and then B, the fixtures that he has remaining. So he was the assistant manager of Al Ahly in 2013-2014. He was the manager of Guangzhou Evergrande in 2014-2015.
Chinese league.
Yeah. Al Nasser a season in 2015-2016.
Ahead of the curve.
Tanyin Quanjin from 2016-2017. Guangzhou Evergrande from 2017 to 2021.
My favorite energy drink.
And then he just went to China. It was
like tired of all the clubs.
Exactly.
Manage your country.
In 2019. 2022 to 2023 at Benevento, where he got them relegated to Serie, and 2024 Udinese. So a bit of a step up for Cannavaro, especially with Frosinone. He was with them until February. And then they sacked him and got a new manager, and that manager didn't manage to get them out of the relegation zone and kept them dead last. But obviously, he's part and parcel with the entire problem that season, no?
Mm-hmm. It's a weird one. It's definitely a weird appointment. I'm not sure what they quite see in him as a person to save them. I don't know if he's got what it takes. We'll see if they're seeing something in him that we don't, because Roma clearly saw something in De Rossi.
Perhaps an idol, though, huh?
It could
2006, where he lifted the World Cup, won the Ballon d'Or.
Just a motivator, maybe, more than anything else. We'll see. I wish him the best.
See.
And I do think that there's a pool of talent at this Udinese team, and if he does have a progressive play style, he can definitely make some exciting things happen over there.
Well, he's gonna face Bologna away next. Napoli.
Baptism of fire.
Yeah. Napoli home, Lecce away, Empoli home, Frosinone away. So 2 games very tough against Bologna and Napoli. But Lecce, Udinese, Frosinone are all 6-pointers. And did you notice that? Frosinone, Udinese, last game of the season. They're currently tied on 28 points.
That's mad. That might decide who goes down. Huh?
Yeah.
That game over there.
You want to see Frosinone's?
Play out. Yeah, sure.
Have Frosinone's. So Frosinone have Salernitana.
Mm-hmm.
So like fuck. Udinese are like fuck. Then they have Empoli away. They have Inter home.
Who would have been doing cocaine for 3 weeks?
They have Monza away. And then Udinese, naturally.
Frosinone have an easier run, innit?
Mm-hmm.
Udinese have a more compact defense, and I think I would have had them as favourites to stay up with Cioffi at the helm. But now with Cannavaro, I'm not sure about how they're going to fare. Because with Cioffi, they're difficult to score against Udinese. Mm-hmm. They're quite a tight unit.
3 draws could be enough. Be the difference, like.
Yeah, this is going to be a great end to the season, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, we'll see what's going to happen in those next 5 games. Verona find themselves in 15th on 31 points, whilst Udinese find themselves in 17th on 28 points.
So Torino took on Frosinone at home, and they drew 0-0 in what wasn't the most exciting game in the world, to be honest. Vania was in goal for Torino under 3-4-1-2 formation with Tameze, Bongiorno and Rodriguez at the back, with Bellanova and Voivoda on the wings, Linetti, Ilic and Vlasic playing in the midfield 3, with Zapata and Okereke playing up front. Nice to see Okereke starting. He looked quite lively. He was quite involved, actually. Turati was in goal for Frosinone under 3-4-1-2 formation with Caleb Okoli, Romagnoli and Lirola at the back, Valeri on the left, Zortea on the right, with Mazzitelli and Berencea playing in midfield, with Brescianini playing in the pocket behind Khedira and Mattias Sule. So of course for Frosinone it was Sule trying to create everything. He had a left-footed curler that skimmed the far post after dribbling past 2 players in the first half. Zapata missed wide from 12 yards after some good work from Bellanova. Khedira attempted an audacious backheel flick, but it was saved by Milinkovic-Savic. Zapata had a long-range shot that nearly surprised Turati, but it wasn't quite enough. In the second half, there was the first significant save of the match, which came in the 56th minute when Okereke's powerful right-footed shot from outside the area was palmed away by Turati. Khedira sprinted forward after Rodriguez slipped, and he was one-on-one with Milinkovic-Savic, and Bellanova was tracking back like a horse, bro, like a bullet. He came back, like he actually caught up with him, and he forced him into having a weak shot, to be honest. And Khedira shot it right down the middle into Milinkovic-Savic. Sule volleyed wide from the edge of the box. Bellanova and Brescianini had off-target attempts, while Zapata fired from a tricky angle. Neither team looked likely to score the decisive goal, to be honest, apart from that one Khedira chance, and it ended in a stalemate. One thing I just want to say is that, first of all, fantastic recovery by Bellanova.
Mm-hmm.
Nice to see Okereke playing. And Sule has been criticized to a certain extent, not really directly criticized, but has been mentioned by his coach, that he needs to learn to play more with the team, basically. He said that when when he gives them touch limitations in training, Soler gets very frustrated because he always wants to play more. He wants to dribble more. He wants to hold the ball more. So this might be something that Soler needs to improve, maybe playing more with his teammates. He does love to play alone. And to be honest, he's very good at it.
But I don't want to pretend as though like some teams benefit from having someone with that X factor.
Yes.
And you let them play alone a little bit. But everyone should be capable of playing with their teammates, and everyone should be able to link up with their teammates. Look at Inter, who just won the championship, the star-studded team, but they can all link up well and play like clockwork,
Absolutely. You look at the XG, none of the teams managed to get an XG of 1. Shots on target, we're talking 2 for Torino and 3 for Frosinone, none of them crazy. The reverse fixture was also a 0-0, so this has to be the most boring game.
Yeah, I think it takes the cake. Yeah. It definitely takes the cake. I think Cagliari was it Frosinone?
Yeah.
Cagliari Frosinone is probably the most exciting. Yeah. The most exciting encounter.
Absolutely. Do you have the table accessible?
I do have the table.
1 second, don't worry, I found it. I pulled it up.
Legend.
Torino are in 10th with 46 points, while Frosinone are in 18th with 28 points, as we discussed. And that's pretty much everything done for this week, all the games.
Let's,
we have to plug Alan in
exactly
to talk about the final. And one more thing, the game is at 8 o'clock tomorrow. The 15 minutes at 8 o'clock. It kicks off.
Finish at 8.
So we'll see.
What a day, my Christ, I have tomorrow, man.
Yeah.
So I guess thank you very much for listening, guys. This was Serie Spotlight, our classic rundown of Matchday 1, 2, 3. Obviously, a lot of people might think that the season... the episode 1, 2, 3, Matchday 33. A lot of people might think the league is over because it was won by Inter, but there's still so much to play for.
Absolutely.
So very excited for the remaining 5 episodes that there are to come out. Over to Alan, who'll take you guys through the Champions League final for the under-19s, where Milan lost 3-0 to Olympiacos.
Over to you, big bro.
All right, fellas. I'm going to do a quick recap of the Youth League final for those of you who are interested. For those of you who are not, no offense. I take no offense if you're skipping this. Where do we start? Let's see. Milan, despite losing 3-0, I honestly think that they were the better team out there today. They conceded 3 goals within 6 or 7 minutes. And outside of that, they were significantly better than Olympiacos. I think that they had like a mental breakdown after conceding the first goal. It was a very unfortunate situation where there was a cross from Olympiacos that got where it got deflected into Stalmak's arm. He was clumsy with his arm, but still, it's an unfortunate deflection. But the referee has no choice but to give a penalty. After that, Nasiala, who's supposed to be among our better defenders, completely lost his head. I don't know what he was doing. He was all over the place. He started dribbling. He started some build-up, and he lost it. He tackled the guy, won it back, lost it again. It was just absolute mess. So there was a mental lapse there that occurred after the first goal. But beside that, I would say that Milan was very strong. They had some opportunities to finish that they didn't take, unfortunately. Especially Sia kind of disappointed a little bit. He's also among the better players in this youth league. So I think maybe that was a bit of the trend, that the ones whom I was familiar with from before, I didn't really see that much, while the players like Stalmak and Scotty, who I didn't know about from earlier, were quite fucking good. But yes, I feel like the big profiles, if you can say that about youth league players, the big profiles kind of disappointed a little bit, especially Nasiala. I can't pronounce that shit. I don't know how to say it. Nasiala and Sia. Sia had like 2 or 3 100% opportunities that had to be a goal. What else? Yeah, it was funny to notice Abate on the bench. If a player he had this old school Italian approach. If a youth league player makes a mistake, he's going out. So he took out, oh, what was fuck his name again? Nsiala, after that mess up. Not long after, Sia had like two big opportunities that he didn't, where he didn't score, or one where he definitely should have passed to Camarda, but he took the shot from a bad angle instead. And 2 minutes later, he's going straight out. Like, no mercy. Abate is cold as fuck. Like, you make a mistake, you go the fuck out. But I will also add that Olympiacos goalkeeper, his name was Sina. I didn't catch his first name, but surname Sina was really, really good. Almost too good for the youth league, I would say. Like he looked like a player who could play on a lower tier team somewhere in Greece, I bet. Like he looked like a professional. But yeah, all in all, I actually don't feel that bad about this loss, despite the result. Milan were better. They looked good. They looked professional. Their build-up play was really good. Their passing play was really good. Yeah, they looked fit. They looked professional. And then they had this lapse of concentration for 6 or 7 minutes, and it cost them dearly. But yeah, I hope it's a lesson for the boys. Maybe it's better to lose and learn the hard way while you're a youth player than to not be 100% focused through the entire game when you're a senior, where the consequences are bigger. So I think this was a good learning experience for them, because they were better, but they lost due to, yeah, unfortunate events and lapse in concentration. So yeah, that's it.